In a desolate place, someone was dragging a body on the floor. A man was dragging a monster's corpse, and as he called his team leader, he mentioned that it was the last one, which his team leader responded was okay. The team leader, Escort Lai Kui, stated that they had a total of 7 bodies and that they should burn them all. A man released fire from the palm of his hand, and he clicked his tongue as he noted that no one would have expected that such things were previously humans. He began burning the bodies while the rest of the team stood watch. One of the men looked at the truck behind him and remarked that they should thank the monsters at that time. He was looking at the ladies they had put behind bars and commented that they wouldn't have been able to get such high-quality goods. Lai Kui was about to get into the truck, and as he urged that they should get on board quickly because Yehu was still waiting for them, one of the men noticed that it was raining and complained that it was so unlucky. As they drove away from the burned bodies, one of the men let out a sigh and asked why that rain felt like the one from 12 years ago. In Star Era Year 1034, Country R's crude oil industrial base had a leak. Due to the tsunamis, earthquakes, and countless sudden natural disasters happening, triggering a violent shift of the Earth's crust, it caused the continents to merge into one. Right after, a red rain that lasted one whole year transformed the majority of humans into man-eating monsters, predators. It was historically known as the Red Rain Calamity. During the Red Rain Calamity, a minority of people came to possess 5 different types of extraordinary abilities, either strengthening, natural, recovery, mental, or special, and became the so-called ability users. The ability users began a cleanup operation that lasted for 10 years against the predators, finally establishing 7 large-scale cities that served as a shield for the remaining surviving humans. And the rest of the regions were known as wastelands, and as a truck arrived there, someone instructed that they should pay attention and be careful. A few moments later, a corpse that seemed to have been burned was still smoking. It was Lai Kui's tea, and as one of his men confirmed that the batch was done as well, he acknowledged it. Lai Kui mentioned that 4 batches actually came in a short span of 2 hours, so the predators that day seemed to be too agitated, and moreover, he didn't see the boss at all. One of the men noted that after killing so many, they are all low-grade trash who don't even have a crystal core, and catching them alive wouldn't even fetch a good price, so it was such a pity, and another man remarked that if they had that kind of power, there was no way they would be doing such a dirty job. Lai Kui instructed that they should get it together as that batch of goods is meant for the Lord, so if anything were to happen, they would lose their heads. One of the men joked that Lai Kui is too serious and that the others were just entertaining themselves with words while he would be the one guarding that batch of goods, so he doesn't have to worry. Lai Kui asked what was wrong with the 3 ladies, and one of the men explained that they fainted from fear due to the predator, because after all, they were just normal girls without any abilities. One of the men was looking at one of the ladies, and when he heard the other say that they were normal, he questioned how they were normal and pointed out that he should check out the lady's good looks because he had to kill quite a few monsters to obtain such a treasure. And if it were not for Lai Kui mentioning that the boss wants a young hatchling, he would have done something. But the man was not able to finish his sentence as he got distracted when a liquid fell on his hand. He looked up and asked what it was. The man was horrified when he saw a huge mouth with something glowing inside it, and he wondered what kind of monster it was. Lai Kui commanded that they should run because it was a rank 4 mutant, so it was not something they could fight against. One of the men used his ability on the mutant, and he noted that a C-rank ability is useless against him, so he could only delay it for some time. The rank 4 mutant possesses a certain amount of wisdom and recovery ability due to the different mutations of its body parts, and there are many different kinds. The team continued to run and was about to reach the exit. But suddenly, one of the men ahead, Lauer, blocked Lai Kui's path. Lai Kui called Lauer a traitor, and as Lauer apologized to Lai Kui, he assured him that he would find their boss and come back to save them. As Lauer opened the door, he mentioned that Lai Kui is a C-rank ability user, plus the 2 other trash. They should be able to hold on for a few minutes, and he could survive if he is able to escape that factory. But he was surprised when he was greeted by multiple huge-headed monsters when he opened the door. Lauer was terrified when another one appeared behind him, and it was laughing as it taunted that he was such a greedy human. They all started grabbing Lauer, and he demanded to know what they were doing. The monsters just shushed him and covered his mouth. Then they all played with him like a doll and dismembered his body. While Lauer's blood was dripping down his toes, there were 3 figures of men behind him. They were Lai Kui and the rest of the team, and as they were restrained by a strange mud, they were screaming, and Lai Kui was pleading that they let him go. But the mutant just laughed, and multiple eyes watched as the 3 of them were being kneaded inside the strange mud together. As they were intertwined with each other, the mutant commented that the betrayal, fear, despair, and regret were so delicious. Suddenly, Jai Yaochuan snapped his finger and declared that the show was over. The skill, True Words, was relieved, and the dark aura that was shrouding the factory started to disappear. As he walked past the unconscious escorts and ladies, he remarked that it was such a marvelous show. Jia Yaochuan approached a man that was being pinned to the wall, and he asked him how it felt to watch his companions die one by one right in front of him. It was the recipient of the ladies, Yihu, and as he called Jia Yaochuan a lunatic, he swore that he would never tell him the location of the Lord. Jia Yaochuan asked Yihu if that was it, and he expected that he would show him an impression that was more up to standard. Summoning a scalpel, Jia Yaochuan concluded that he should just forget it, and since Yihu was not willing to speak, he would have to look for it himself. Jia Yaochuan asked himself what he would start with, while Yihu looked so anxious, and he asked him what he was doing. Jia Yaochuan did not answer Yihu's question, and he just pointed the blade at the corner of Yihu's mouth while he thought to himself. Yihu's eyes went bloodshot as he saw that Jia Yaochuan pointed the blade near his eyes while he continued to think. Yihu looked so terrified as Jia Yaochuan pointed the scalpel at him and decided that it would do. Jia Yaochuan slashed Yihu's forehead and commented that his forehead was bulging a bit, so he should let him flatten it for him. Yihu screamed, and as he kept calling Jia Yaochuan a lunatic, he also kept pleading that he just kill him. Jia Yaochuan poked inside Yihu's forehead and instructed that he should stop messing around as there were too many useless memories in his head, so it was going to take a while. Yihu sobbed while Jia Yaochuan dug his way through the strings of his memories. Jia Yaochuan was unfazed by the blood that was spurting towards him, as he was looking for the memory intently and wondering where it was. He grinned and declared that he had found it. Jia Yaochuan used his skill, Memory Retrieval, and pulled the string of memory out of Yihu's head. He was surprised when he found out that it was Country R's crude oil industrial base. Jia Yaochuan walked away and reminisced. In a huge apartment building, someone was playing music from a vinyl record. He seemed to be chopping something with an axe in his kitchen. Red liquid spread all over the place as Jia Yaochuan hit it with his axe. The look on Jia Yaochuan's face looked so terrifying as he continued to hack with the axe. When Jia Yaochuan finally stopped, the red liquid was smearing at the edge of the bowl. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan got a drill. As he drilled through the red liquid, he talked to himself and mentioned that he should bear with it for a while longer. Jia Yaochuan was excited, and he expressed that he needed to be patient for a peak of deliciousness. He smelled the bowl and noted that it smelled perfect. He added the 3-minute soft-boiled egg together with the perfect soup, which was the one he was making in the bowl. Jia Yaochuan sat down at the table and remarked that it was a perfect meal. As he began to eat, Jia Yaochuan commented that he should freeze some in the freezer later because such good tomatoes would be hard to get again. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan seemed to remember something. He looked at a picture and stated that, speaking of which, the tomato sauce recipe was taught by the man in it. The photo was taken in Star Era year 1032 as an Angel Orphanage souvenir. The photo was smeared in blood. The young Jia Yaochuan was sitting on the floor, surrounded by dead bodies, when a man came into the room and remarked that among that batch of kids, only the one from the Jia family managed to survive, and it was as expected as Jia Yaochuan was the one that he felt was the most talented. The man approached Jia Yaochuan, and as he complimented him on being such a brave child, he asked him if he would come with him. Jia Yaochuan confessed that he killed the others, and he asked the man to confirm if he was not in the wrong, to which the man assured him that there was no way he could be wrong, and while calling Jia Yaochuan his dear child, he affirmed that what he did was right. Jia Yaochuan smiled brightly, and he asked the man if he was willing to take him away. The man confirmed, of course, because he would become his greatest art. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan was tied down on a medical table with lasers firing in his hands, and he cried out that it hurt. Jia Yaochuan was being experimented on, and the man, who was in the control room, mentioned that it was experiment number 3, where Jia Yaochuan was injected with the NAN13 drug, Magic K drug, and Forminus 201 solution. The man instructed to increase the voltage by 20 times, and Jia Yaochuan screamed in pain as they did. Back in the present, Jia Yaochuan was slicing through his food while listening to music. His eyes looked so empty. Jia Yaochuan could remember how his small, bloody hand was holding a scalpel. The building in front of him was being consumed by huge flames. He stood there expressionless while hugging his teddy bear, and his right eye was glowing. Back in the present, Jia Yaochuan threw the knife in his hand. The knife pierced the wall. Jia Yaochuan declared that after so long, they were finally going to meet again. He threw the knife at a picture of a man on the wall, and he addressed him as his dear president. Yanlan City is the largest gathering spot for normal humans, established by the Glory Federation. That place provides a job and living supplies to normal humans, education for children, and healthcare for the injured. Jia Yaochuan was there, and as a kid approached him, he looked completely different. The little girl handed him a rice ball, and as she explained that it was for him, she thanked him for the antibiotics that he gave her mom last week. Jia Yaochuan patted the little girl, whose name was Xiao Yuan, on the head and reassured her that it was okay as he already had breakfast, so she could keep that rice ball for herself. But Xiao Yuan insisted that she made it herself and that she knew that the antibiotics that he gave them were really expensive, so she would work hard from that day onward to earn money and pay it back to him. Xiao Yuan was surprised when Jia Yaochuan took the rice ball from her hand. Jia Yaochuan ate the rice ball. He smiled and praised that it was delicious. Xiao Yuan looked so happy as Jia Yaochuan thanked her, and he mentioned that he would head off to work. She looked so happy as she waved at Jia Yaochuan and said goodbye. A few moments later, while Jia Yaochuan was walking down the street, someone was observing him and reported over comms that the target hadn't done anything strange. The man noted that the target was heading to the bus stop, so the personnel on land would continue the following, and a man with a mask began to follow Jia Yaochuan. While pretending to be on his phone, the man with the mask relayed that the target had boarded, so he was following aboard. The man rode the bus number 384, which was headed towards the Ability Management Center. Suddenly, the man noticed that Jia Yaochuan was gone, so he cursed and asked where Jia Yaochuan was. The man contacted their team leader, and as he reported that they lost the target, he asked her what they should do, and the team leader, who was standing on top of a building, acknowledged and instructed all of them to retreat as there was no need to continue hide and seek with Jia Yaochuan. The Ability Management Center was established by the Santenberg Alliance. It is managed by normal humans, and it records information about the ability users of the 6 different cities: Northern Border City, Eagle Nest City, Rose City, Huaxia City, Dorn City, and Yanalan City. Someone showed their ID, and the system notified them that the authentication was successful. It was Jia Yaochuan, and as soon as he opened the door, he called for someone named Sister Wen and mentioned that Lao Zhang asked him to bring her that batch of new information that needed to go into the storehouse, and when Sister Wen saw him, she noted that he was a bit late that day. Jia Yaochuan apologized and explained that he boarded the wrong bus that day, but in his mind, he was thinking that it was because he met a bunch of flies the moment he stepped out of his house. Another lady employee asked Jia Yaochuan why Lao Zhang was bullying him again and noted that delivering storehouse information is not the job of the expatriate team, and Jia Yaochuan explained that it was on the way and he also didn't have any new missions recently. Sister Wen remarked that luckily, Jia Yaochuan isn't on any new mission because she heard that 5 ability users died in their city recently, and it was at the steam factory right outside their city where they died a terrible death. The lady asked Sister Wen if it was real and wondered if it could be that a high-ranked predator sneaked in, and Sister Wen stated that no one knows because the higher-ups are still investigating the reasons. Sister Wen advised that Jia Yaochuan must be more careful these days because their center is filled with normal people with no abilities, so if they encounter such a thing, they will be the first to die, and as Jia Yaochuan nervously agreed, someone barged into the room, called Jia Yaochuan, and announced that the director wants him in his office immediately. Jia Yaochuan waved at the other employees as he followed the man. He informed them that he would get going first and that they should chat again next time, while the man urged that they should go as it was urgent. A few moments later, at the director's office, Jia Yaochuan asked the director if he was looking for him, and as the director acknowledged his presence, he mentioned that he wanted to introduce someone to him. It was the team leader of the people following Jia Yaochuan earlier, and she asked if he was Jia Yaochuan, the expatriate team member with a 100% success rate. The director introduced Miss Lu Yao from Santenberg City, and she will be his immediate superior from that point on, so he should add Lu Yao to his contacts as it will be more convenient to communicate. Lu Yao interrupted them and suggested that there was no rush. She placed photos on the table and suggested that first, they should allow their outstanding employee, Jia Yaochuan, to explain what those were about. Jia Yaochuan didn't look pleased as he stared at Lu Yao. The photos of the escort team that Jia Yaochuan had previously killed were laid out on the table. Jia Yaochuan examined them and stated that based on the body's condition, those people had been dead for more than 3 days, and as for the wound, it was likely to be from a blunt weapon, so the deceased was probably tortured, and the murderer seems to have a lot of hatred for the deceased. He suggested that his recommendation is to investigate the deceased interpersonal relationships, as it should be someone who is seeking revenge. Lu Yao mentioned that the higher-ups have investigated Yihu, a C-rank ability user who specialized in illegal business, quite a lot of times, but it always ended in failure, so if such a cunning and prudent person actually got tortured to death, the person who killed him is probably even more dangerous and cruel. Jia Yaochuan remarked that if that was the case, it looks like the murderer is a psycho with meticulous thoughts because he definitely did not leave any clues behind. But if Lu Yao is willing to trust him, he will do his best to find out the identity of the murderer. Lu Yao commented that someone who is able to torture 2 C-rank ability users to death must be at least a B rank, while Jia Yaochuan is just a normal record management personnel, and she asked him if he was not afraid. Jia Yaochuan immediately stood straight. He put his fist over his chest and declared that ever since he joined the expatriate team, his life and death were no longer important, as it was his honor to sacrifice himself for the alliance. The director and Jai Yaochuan were baffled when Liu Yao walked past Jai Yaochuan and responded that it was not necessary, as there was already a specialized team investigating that matter among the higher-ups. Liu Yao added that, as for Jai Yaochuan, he was indeed a talent that is hard to come by, so she will be keeping a close eye on him. The director and Jai Yaochuan bowed as Liu Yao walked away, and the director expressed that he and Jai Yaochuan would thank her for her appreciation. A few moments later, at Rose City, the largest free trade region affiliated with the Enlightenment Institute, where one could purchase any items or information that they wanted as long as it was legal, people were selling vegetables, there was the latest gossip about the Grey Wind family, and there were entry requirements for the Blue Shield School. A man was inspecting a watermelon and asked the merchant if it was ripe, and the merchant confirmed that it was very ripe. Suddenly, the man noticed something. It was the train that caught the man's attention. He asked why there was a train leaving so late at night and if they were not afraid of getting attacked by predators, and the vendor replied that it must be the man's first time in Rose City because the special train Black Rose is their city's distinguished tour event that sets out at night and returns on the second day. He explained that it only costs 20,000 star coins. The man was surprised when he heard that it cost 20,000. And he exclaimed that they should just rob people instead because that is half a year of expenses for a family of 3. But the merchant was unfazed. As the Black Rose continued traveling on the tracks, the merchant noted that it was after all a special train that is guarded by 12 rank ability users, so that price is already considered really cheap. Meanwhile, inside the train, a man was standing in front of a door. He used a scalpel to open its lock. It was Jai Yaochuan, and he successfully opened the door. As Jai Yaochuan entered the next wagon, he called the attention of a train attendant and asked if the meals were ready. The attendant did not say anything. Suddenly, her neck snapped. The attendant's body was twisted beyond human capabilities, and as she attacked Jai Yaochuan, she answered that it was ready. But Jai Yaochuan effortlessly swung his arm and decapitated the attendant, while the attendant apologized to him for the wait. Jai Yaochuan was not surprised, and he even jokingly asked if it was the way they treat guests aboard the Black Rose. The severed head of the attendant was still talking, and it stated that the identification verification was successful. She called Jai Yaochuan an honorable guest and mentioned that the host invites but kept repeating the word invites. As she repeated the word invites once again, Jai Yaochuan stepped on her head and squashed it. Suddenly, an eerie portal appeared. Inside the portal was the Black Rose Market, the underground trade region where the one in charge is unknown, and in that place, as long as one could pay the price, they could know whatever it is they want. As Jai Yaochuan entered, he observed that that unusual dimension should be filled with a special mental power, which is why it was able to hide the faces of its guests, but he is already used to such a disguise. Jai Yaochuan took a seat at one of the tables. As he accessed the system, Jai Yaochuan commented that just searching for an address costs 200,000, which is equal to the yearly salary of a high-ranking employee in the Ability Management Center, so the Black Rose Market is indeed black. A lady suddenly approached Jai Yaochuan and called him sir. She placed a plate on his table and announced that his meal was there, and Jai Yaochuan remarked that the appearance was as disgusting as always. Jai Yaochuan started poking the food with a fork. He was moving the food aside to see what was written on the plate, and it indicated that Country R's crude oil industrial base has already been reconstructed into Rose City's shadowless church, and there seemed to be some strange activities recently. Jai Yaochuan smiled when he read about the church, and he stated that it was ironic. The next day, at Shadowless Church, someone was begging the Lord to erase all their sins and prayed that during such an absurd era, they requested that the Lord guide his believers in the right direction. There were a lot of worshippers in the church, and they were wearing hoods while carrying bowls with them. The leader praised their great true Lord and announced that the ceremony would begin. He gestured towards the nuns standing on the side, called them his holy children, and requested that they should come. The leader asked them if they were willing to dedicate their everything to the Lord. The worshippers looked so sinister as they called the nuns humble, pure, and kind. Strings started to wrap themselves around the nuns as the worshippers called them appropriate, zealous, and fervent. The nuns smiled menacingly as they were called chaste. As the strings wrapped around their bodies, they looked like they were not themselves and declared that to be chosen by the Lord is their honor. The water beneath the nuns' feet started to rise. The nuns were still out of it as the leader proclaimed that they should come forth and dedicate themselves as the Lord shall remember them. They all had eerie smiles on their faces as the nuns submerged themselves in the water. When the worshippers saw the nuns fully submerged in the water, they rejoiced and exclaimed that the Lord had manifested. Bubbles formed in the water as the nuns disappeared. The leader, who was the one controlling the strings, proclaimed that the holy virgins have gone to the Lord's kingdom, where there is no more pain. The nuns, who seemed to be trapped inside a huge frame, all looked so horrified as they gasped for air while the worshippers declared that it was a miracle and that the Lord was watching over them. So their Lord is good and kind. A huge frame showing a blonde lady, who has her hand wrapped by the strings, appeared behind the leader, and he announced, "Behold, their devotion has moved the Lord." The nuns on the other frame started crying blood, and as the blood oozed out of the strings, the leader stated that the Lord would bless them, so they should drink the blood, and they would become the Lord's most loyal servant. The worshippers looked deranged as they tried to catch the blood on the strings with their bowl, and as one of them asked the Lord to look at him, he proclaimed that he had offered everything, even his wife and daughter, to him, while another pleaded with the Lord to bless him. As the blood started to pour into their bowls, one of them exclaimed that they had received it, and the Lord had acknowledged him, so it was all his. Blood continued to drop on the bowls. One of the men saw their reflection on the blood, and they could hear that someone uttered that they could see that his heart harbors endless darkness. A hand reached out and declared that the man still had a chance for redemption. Pretty hands were comforting the man, and they mentioned that the Lord is merciful. Angels hovered behind the man, and one of them advised that the man should drink it, and they could live together forever in a new world without pain or sorrow. The man asked to confirm if they were talking about a new world. Suddenly, the bowl filled with blood shattered on the floor as the man announced that it was a beautiful lie. But alas, it was time to wake up from that dream. The man emitted strong energy that pushed the other worshippers away. The leader was surprised when he felt the psychic fluctuation. When he saw the man, he recognized him, and he was surprised that he was still alive. The man was Jai Yaochuan, and he remarked that after 16 years, he can't believe that the leader still remembers him. The leader scoffed and replied that Jai Yaochuan was the child that left the deepest impression on him. He recalled the young Jai Yaochuan emotionlessly wielding a scalpel, and he stated that, especially at that time, Jai Yaochuan was like a demon's child. The leader commanded that the worshippers should go, as they have the right to punish the blasphemer who has desecrated the Lord. Everyone charged at Jai Yaochuan like madmen. Jai Yaochuan activated his skill, True Words. It was the skill of Jai Yaochuan's psychic power, Dreamweaver, and it allows him to envelop an area with his psychic power, enabling him to control people or objects within that space. As he wrapped all the worshippers around him in his strings, Jai Yaochuan remarked that it was quite a spectacular performance, and that it was as expected of the leader. Releasing his strings, the leader scoffed and commented that, compared to Jai Yaochuan, those men were just a bunch of useless people. The worshippers started to scream in pain as the blue strings of the leader started wrapping around them. The leader was gathering all the worshippers using his strings, and he looked so ecstatic. Jai Yaochuan calmly observed and noted that the leader hasn't really changed as he is still using people as tools. The leader grinned and observed that it was a shame because, whether it was those lab rats back or any other fools, they were all flawed products. A huge creature was formed, and it stood in front of Jai Yaochuan. The creature looked so disgusting, and as it attacked Jai Yaochuan, the leader mentioned that the most perfect tool he had ever used was him. Jai Yaochuan dodged the monster's attack, and he remarked that the leader really knows how to get on his nerves. He counterattacked and slashed the monster's leg. But Jai Yaochuan was surprised when he noticed the small cut on his face. He was alarmed when he saw that a huge hand was coming at him from above. Jai Yaochuan managed to dodge the hand by wrapping his string into it and pushing himself away. The leader inquired if Jai Yaochuan liked his latest creation. He announced that once the enemy makes their move, they are destined to become corpses. Jai Yaochuan wiped the blood off his face, and he remarked that it was kinda interesting. The leader offered to give Jai Yaochuan a chance to return to his side and rectify his mistake. Subduing the monster with his strings, Jai Yaochuan asked the leader if that was the case, but he noted that it was too bad that he had no interest in becoming a monster, especially not an ugly one. The leader warned that Jai Yaochuan would meet his end. The monster went berserk, and as it snapped Jai Yaochuan's strings, the leader declared that even the most obedient tool, if it refuses to be used, has no reason to exist. The leader demanded that he should disappear, and Jai Yaochuan was alarmed when he saw what was coming at him from behind. While the monster was charging at Jai Yaochuan from behind, the leader commanded that Jai Yaochuan should vanish from his sight. Jai Yaochuan managed to dodge the monster's attack by doing a flip. His right eye glowed again as he threw his weapons. Jai Yaochuan threw his weapons at the leader, who easily blocked them with his strings. The leader warned that he would advise Jai Yaochuan not to waste his energy because such an attack is utterly meaningless. But Jai Yaochuan just smiled, and he questioned the leader if that was the case. Jai Yaochuan's weapons were stuck at the image of the blonde lady behind the leader, and the leader was agitated when Jai Yaochuan stated that he wasn't aiming at him. The part of the image where Jai Yaochuan's weapon was stuck began to protrude. In an instant, the entire image was inflated. The image exploded, and the leader cursed as he was affected by the explosion. The explosion was powerful that both Jai Yaochuan and the leader had to use their strings to protect themselves while the monster was blown away. A figure suddenly emerged as the smoke began to dissipate, and the figure remarked that it was just what they had expected from their most outstanding student. A man on a cane stepped forward and observed that Jia Yaochuan had found his location in no time. Jia Yaochuan commented that the man was still the same as ever, preferring to play as the mouse and hiding here and there. He was talking to an old man, and he called him Dear Dean. The leader was enraged, and he snarled at Jia Yaochuan, calling him a mere trifle, and demanded how he dared to speak to his master in such a manner while the dean summoned the ghoul. The dean ordered that the ghoul should devour the leader, and the leader was horrified when he heard that. As the ghoul picked the leader up, he screamed and pleaded for his master, the dean, to spare him. But the ghoul mercilessly chomped on him, and the dean sneered that only the weak plead like that. The dean turned to Jia Yaochuan and declared that no one could interrupt them at that moment. Jia Yaochuan stood there ominously, and the dean challenged Jia Yaochuan to let him see how much he has grown, his most perfect creation. Jia Yaochuan smiled evilly, and he agreed that he would do as per the dean's wish. He charged towards the ghoul at an incredible speed. The ghoul's power was explosive, but Jia Yaochuan was able to dodge its attack and use his speed to deal multiple injuries to its body as he moved around. As Jia Yaochuan stared at the ghoul intently, he was surprised when he realized that he couldn't attack it directly with his psychic abilities. The dean explained that the puppet was specially crafted to suppress psychic abilities, and brute force is not a wise method. Jia Yaochuan released his strings in the palm of his hand and acknowledged that it was quite an honor. He used his skill, Dreamweaver, to throw debris at the ghoul to bury it, and he speculated that as long as he refrains from utilizing psychic abilities on the ghoul, everything should be fine. The dean was enraged, and he demanded that Jia Yaochuan stop acting tough. A bright light suddenly surged underneath the rubble. The ghoul emerged unscathed, and it released a powerful aura from its mouth. Jia Yaochuan quickly used his Dreamweaver to create a shield and block the ghoul's attack. The ghoul's aura was powerful that it pushed Jia Yaochuan back. Jia Yaochuan coughed up blood, and the dean inquired if he was right that the damage he had taken was far greater than the ghoul. The dean offered Jia Yaochuan one more chance to come back to his side. Jia Yaochuan thanked the dean for the offer, but he reminded him that, sadly, he once taught him something. The dean was surprised when he saw golden strings across the floor in front of him. He was horrified as he looked to his side, and Jia Yaochuan revealed that he taught him to lure the prey into one's trap. Jia Yaochuan's strings were attached to the ghoul, and he asked the dean if he was right that he should crush the prey in an instant. The dean couldn't believe it, and he asked Jia Yaochuan how it was possible when he was connected to the ghoul by puppet strings and how the damage didn't affect him, which made Jia Yaochuan show him a piece of string and ask him if he was referring to that. Jia Yaochuan smiled, and he inquired if the dean had reached an age of forgetfulness and if it wasn't him who cut those strings for him. Recalling the time when Jia Yaochuan blocked the ghoul's powerful attack, the dean wondered if it could be at that moment, and he admitted that he was careless. While the ghoul was crying in pain, Jia Yaochuan transported his energy through the strings. A huge explosion occurred, and it blew the ghoul's body into pieces. Jia Yaochuan was protecting himself from the explosion, and he let out a sigh of relief as he remarked that it was a good thing that he was prepared. On the other hand, the dean was kneeling on the floor while coughing up blood, and Jia Yaochuan observed that he seemed to be in poor shape. The dean acknowledged that after 16 years, Jia Yaochuan had become an A-class psychic, so he was truly worthy of being the masterpiece he chose. Jia Yaochuan questioned it when he heard the word masterpiece. The dean was astonished when Jia Yaochuan suddenly stepped on his face. Taking out his scalpel, Jia Yaochuan declared that it had been 16 years, so it was time they settled their accounts because if it weren't for the dean choosing him, his parents wouldn't have died. The dean asked Jia Yaochuan if he really stated that the organization killed his parents because they valued his talent, and he coughed and revealed that it was Lord Kyan Mayan who informed him that his parents knew too much, which is why the organization silenced them. Jia Yaochuan demanded to know who Kyan Mayan was and what secret of the organization his parents knew. Dark veins suddenly crawled on the dean's face, and he remarked that Jia Yaochuan was as eager to learn as ever. Jia Yaochuan was astonished when he heard the dean mention that, sadly, those were questions he would have to ask the Grim Reaper about, and began releasing a dark aura. A huge summoning circle appeared in front of them as the dean invoked Hell's Gate, a mysterious ritual that uses living people as sacrifices to summon demons from another dimension, and the demons are bound by a contract to serve the summoner until they die or the contract is fulfilled, granting them freedom. A demon slowly emerged from Hell's Gate. A huge dragon appeared from it. The dean commanded the dragon, as its master, to kill Jia Yaochuan, but he was surprised and puzzled when Jia Yaochuan kicked him towards the dragon. The dean was horrified when he heard Jia Yaochuan instruct the dragon to devour him, and the dragon loomed over him. He screamed in pain as the dragon bit his shoulder. While the dean was writhing and screaming in pain on the floor, Jia Yaochuan commented that he may taste the pain his parents suffered before their deaths. The dean couldn't believe it, and he asked Jia Yaochuan how that could happen when it was a demon summoned by him. Jia Yaochuan snapped his fingers, and as the surroundings started to dissolve, he announced that the moment he saw the dean, he activated construction. construction was a skill where Jai Yaochuan could use the Dreamweaver to predict the target's future based on the threads of fate after invading the target's mind, and as Jai Yaochuan revealed that it was all a performance arranged for the dean. He inquired if the dean enjoyed it. Jai Yaochuan offered the dean a chance to tell him who the murderer was, promising he might consider letting him rest in peace after death, and he asked the dean what he thought about that. The dean was coughing up blood, and he smiled as he remarked that Jai Yaochuan was even more outstanding than he thought. But the dean lamented that, sadly, he could never betray his master as his master would avenge him, and he used his string to strangle himself. Jai Yaochuan was horrified when he witnessed the dean decapitate himself with his own string. As the dean's body fell to the ground and his head got tossed in the air, the entire church shook, and Jai Yaochuan was surprised. Jai Yaochuan's string suddenly created a symbol in front of him, and he questioned if it was the Dreamweaver. Suddenly, a huge summoning circle appeared on the ceiling, and it was Hell's Gate again. Two monsters that were being chained roared ferociously and were viciously trying to get out of their restraints. Suddenly, a hand reached out of Hell's Gate to catch the dean's head. It was a lady demon who was sitting on a throne of skulls, and she was the one restraining the two ferocious monsters. Jai Yaochuan was frozen in place when he saw what emerged from the Hell's Gate, and his Dreamweaver kept urging him to run away. The officials from the Enlightenment Institute were in protective gear when they gathered in front of the Shadowless Church in Rose City, and a reporter who was also there stated that at that moment, the church had completely been engulfed by a corrosive fog, and the officials would venture into the fog for investigation. Meanwhile, inside the church, Jai Yaochuan used his Dreamweaver to fight the two monsters when the Lady Demon declared that they should catch Jai Yaochuan. Jai Yaochuan threw a huge rock into one of the monsters. The other monster was surprised when Jai Yaochuan restrained him with his strings. Jai Yaochuan pulled on his string and slammed the monster against the wall. But the Lady Demon, Chelsea, summoned more monsters and proclaimed that Jai Yaochuan should cease his resistance because serving as a minion for her, the mightiest demon of hell, should be considered an honor. The Dreamweaver reminded Jai Yaochuan and warned that pushing himself too far will only lead to a mental breakdown. But Jai Yaochuan replied that it should be quiet because he has a plan. Looking at Chelsea, who has summoned more monsters, Jai Yaochuan explained that after activating construction, his abilities would weaken over time and eventually leave him powerless. As the monsters charged at Jai Yaochuan altogether, he noted that the side effect would last a long time, so he must resolve the matter quickly before he loses the ability to resist. The area exploded and was covered in dust and debris when the monsters landed their attack on Jai Yaochuan. Chelsea scoffed and smirked when she saw what happened, but she was startled when she noticed something. Jai Yaochuan used his Dreamweaver against the monsters, and with his string wrapped around the monsters, he remarked that Chelsea's minions weren't so obedient. Chelsea was enraged, and as she called Jai Yaochuan a lowly human, she demanded to know what he had done to her minions. Jai Yaochuan responded that it was just a minor adjustment to the psychic control she has over her minions. He taunts Chelsea and questions her on what happened to her bossy tone and if it could be that she was already powerless at the moment. The floor broke when Chelsea stomped on it due to rage while she accused Jai Yaochuan, a mere human, of daring to mock her. Chelsea released her whip that had a dagger at the end, and she vowed that Jai Yaochuan was unforgivable. Jai Yaochuan directed Chelsea's minion back at her and urged that she should better keep them company. Chelsea prepared to fight, and she asked Jai Yaochuan if he claimed that those lowly scum could compete with her. She waved her whip that was emitting a dark aura to behead one of her minions, and she scoffed that it was ridiculous. While Chelsea was busy fighting the minions, Jai Yaochuan quickly turned to run away, and as his Dreamweaver urged that they should get out of there immediately, Jai Yaochuan agreed that there was no need to tell him twice. But Jai Yaochuan was startled when a huge explosion occurred behind him, and he felt it. Chelsea managed to eliminate her minions in one swift motion, and while she was charging towards Jai Yaochuan at full speed, she asked him if he was thinking of running away, and warned that there would be no chance. Jai Yaochuan was astonished when Chelsea attacked him on his back with a summoning circle. His eyes went wide due to pain. Chelsea's dark energy was released, and as it shot towards the sky, it created a visible pillar, which the officials from the Enlightenment Institute saw, and made them inquire what was happening and if it was a new predator. On the other hand, Jai Yaochuan was writhing on the floor, groaning in pain, and lamented that it hurt and felt like it was splitting his head. It turned out that Chelsea entered Jai Yaochuan's body, and as Jai Yaochuan demanded that she should get out of his body, she commanded that he should stop resisting and suggested that he willingly surrender to her. Suddenly, Jai Yaochuan heard that someone ordered that they should prepare to breach as it was a level 1 alert. Jai Yaochuan threatened that Chelsea should either behave or else he will hand his body over to those people outside, and Chelsea questioned him for daring to threaten her. But as a response, Jai Yaochuan just queried if she thought his body could withstand those humans outside, which made Chelsea scoff and call him a filthy human. The officials from the Enlightenment Institute burst through the doors of the church, and their leader ordered that they should prepare for battle. but they were surprised by what they saw. They were confused when they saw Chelsea's dead minions lying on the floor, and they remarked that those guys don't seem like predators. While Jia Yaochuan was hiding from the officials, their leaders suggested that they should check for any signs of life and take them to the research department, to which the group agreed. A few moments later, as the sun began to set and the evening came, the buildings in Santenberg City began to light up. In one of the buildings, a man was watching what just happened to Jia Yaochuan in an orb, and he observed that after a long wait, Chelsea finally made her appearance. The man was talking to a hooded figure and remarked that banished as she is, Chelsea stands no chance against it, so it should go eliminate her, to which the hooded figure replied and agreed that he would do as the man commands. On the other hand, Jia Yaochuan was burning something and was walking away from it. Jia Yaochuan was burning corpses, and he noted that all nearby predators had been cleared, so he should spend the night there. He walked towards a building and reflected that the side effects of construction were about to kick in, so it was better to be cautious. The crescent moon that was lighting up the sky could be seen through the window of the building. Jia Yaochuan was resting by the corner, and he was emitting dark energy. The dark energy materialized into a hand, and as it caressed Jia Yaochuan's face, it murmured that he was finally asleep. It was Chelsea, and she sat on Jia Yaochuan's lap as she whispered that he may be ensnared in his dreams while calling him her slave. Cars were traveling on the highway. In one of the cars, the driver was on the phone, and he stated that Shiro 713's technology was ready for the market, and as he inquired the person on the other line if they got it and that he must receive the clinical results immediately. The woman behind him called him honey and asked him if they didn't agree to take a break from work that day and just enjoy the day with their little one and why he was starting again. The driver apologized and mentioned that in a bit at the amusement park, he will play whatever Xiao Chuan wants to play too. Xiao Chuan smiled brightly and replied yes to his daddy. The woman suddenly looked out the window when they heard noises. There were crows flying above them, and she couldn't help but inquire why there were many crows. Xiao Chuan suddenly hugged his mother, which surprised her, and she asked him what was wrong and if he was feeling alright. Xiao Chuan's father was worried, and he remarked that he thinks their baby's not feeling well, so he questioned if they should go to the hospital, but he was unaware that a truck was coming at them from the side. The truck suddenly hit the family's car from the side. A few moments later, emergency services arrived. The rescuer who managed to pull out Xiao Chuan from their upturned car exclaimed that there was a child there and he was still alive, so they should quickly call the medics, and he demanded where the medics were in a panic. Jia Yaochuan watched from the side as Xiao Chuan wailed and called for his mommy and daddy. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan's dreamweaver urged that he should quickly wake up because that place was collapsing, and Jia Yaochuan acknowledged that he knew. The world began to crumble, and in the shattered glass, it showed how the parents named their child Jiayu and how they gave him a gift and expressed that they loved their child. It also showed how a strange man smiled at the child and informed that it was his new home, and how the child sullied his hand with blood and burned the entire place while wondering if that was what home feels like. It showed how malicious people approached him and claimed that he was a star of calamity, so no one wanted to raise him. And it also showed how another man looked concerned as he approached him and inquired how he survived a train derailment, as it was rare, and asked how he did it. It showed that the child had grown into a man, and as he looked into the mirror, someone announced that starting that day, he was Jia Yaochuan, a member of the Psychic Management Department. As the world continued to shatter, Jia Yaochuan reflected that he guessed that dreams do end. Meanwhile, in the real world, Chelsea was aiming a weapon at the sleeping Jia Yaochuan, and as she called him a silly human, she muttered that he should fade within his pretty dreams because it was the kindest mercy she could offer. But Chelsea was astonished when her arm was suddenly wrapped in Jia Yaochuan's strings and her weapon shattered. When she saw that Jia Yaochuan was awake, she was surprised that the enchantment failed, and as she questioned how it could be when his mental world should be under her control, Jia Yaochuan queried Chelsea what she was talking about when mental invasion is his specialty. Looking at Jia Yaochuan's demonic smile, Chelsea explained that enchantment was supposed to penetrate deep into Jia Yaochuan's soul's secrets and control him, so his mental strength was far stronger than she imagined. Jia Yaochuan promised that for that beautiful dream earlier, he would grant Chelsea a swift end, which pissed her off. But Jia Yaochuan was taken aback when Chelsea suddenly started to cry, and tears fell onto his scalpel. Chelsea was docile as she confessed that it wasn't easy for her to come to that dimension, so she couldn't just return like that, and so she pleaded with Jia Yaochuan if he couldn't just let her go because she was just a poor little demon. When Jia Yaochuan heard Chelsea call herself a poor little demon, he teased her why he recalled that she was claiming to be Chelsea, the mightiest demon of hell. But Chelsea ignored his question and offered that as long as Jia Yaochuan was willing to let her go, he could do whatever he wanted with her. But after saying those words, Chelsea gritted her teeth, and as she pondered how Jia Yaochuan dared to humiliate her like that in her mind, she threatened that once her strength was restored, she would tear him to pieces. Jai Yaochuan smiled and remarked that Chelsea's acting was really terrible, which was truly a waste of that beautiful shell of hers. Chelsea was astonished when Jai Yaochuan suddenly attacked her horn. She was enraged by what Jai Yaochuan did. Jai Yaochuan was surprised and alarmed when Chelsea began releasing her powerful aura. A huge explosion occurred that damaged the entire area. When the smoke from the explosion dissipated, it revealed that Jai Yaochuan was kneeling on one knee on the ground while Chelsea was standing in front of him and calling him a mere ant. Chelsea was enraged, and she exclaimed that Jai Yaochuan dared to touch her horn. As he stood up, Jai Yaochuan was startled when he saw that Chelsea was charging towards him, and she vowed that he would become a burial companion for her horn. Jai Yaochuan managed to run away and dodge Chelsea's attack, and as he looked back, he cursed in his mind as he muttered that it looked like he had really injured her. While running away, Jai Yaochuan noticed the Dean's string on one of the cars, and he recalled that the Dean's puppet strings could reflect psychic attacks. Jai Yaochuan was startled when Chelsea suddenly appeared to attack him from behind and demanded that he should die. He quickly used his strings, and he acknowledged that it was his chance. Jai Yaochuan used the car where the Dean's strings were wrapped and blocked Chelsea's attack, which caused an explosion. Chelsea landed on the ground while the debris from the explosion was still falling. She was mildly injured, and she admitted that Jai Yaochuan does have some skill to be able to harm her, while in her mind, she realized that the effect of blood burst only lasts for minutes, and afterwards, she will be in a weakened state, so she must find a human to make a contract with to survive. Jai Yaochuan was alarmed when he saw that Chelsea started releasing a dark aura from her body, and protested that he refused to be her slave. Chelsea materialized a snake using her aura, and while she observed that Jai Yaochuan's soul was exceptionally strong, she insisted that Jai Yaochuan should become nourishment for her. But Chelsea stopped in her tracks when she suddenly noticed something behind her. Something traveled at an extreme speed and landed on the area, which caused the dust and debris to be sent flying, including the cards around. It was the hooded figure, and they commented that it was bold of Chelsea to show her true form. Chelsea was pissed as the hooded figure stepped on her and mocked her if she was making it easier for them to find her. The hooded figure sent Chelsea flying by kicking her, and she groaned in pain when she crashed against a car. The demon with the hood revealed himself and asked if Chelsea, who once topped the demon leaderboard, a mysterious ranking system in Hell Dimension that rates demons based on their strength, and the top 36 were bestowed with numbers that carry the power of cosmic rules, had gotten that week. He threw multiple slashing attacks at Chelsea and remarked that it was a pitiful sight. But he was startled when he noticed something. As the dust from his attack began to dissipate, the demon saw that Chelsea was gone, so he wondered where she went and if she had vanished. Suddenly, the demon noticed that a whip was coming at him from the side. He managed to dodge the whip, but he was both confused and surprised when he saw that Jai Yaochuan was the one wielding it. It seems that Chelsea went back to Jai Yaochuan's body, and she stated that the demon was bold for mocking her when he couldn't even penetrate a mental illusion. Chelsea mentioned that the side effect of bloodburst would force her to rely on a human body, and lucky for her, the fool demon didn't kill Jai Yaochuan right away. She threw another attack and commented that if Jai Yaochuan's body wasn't so weak, her attack would have finished the demon already. But the demon managed to catch Chelsea's whip with his hand, and he snarled that she had that disdainful tone again. The demon was enraged, and he demanded how Chelsea, who was as exiled as she was, dared look down on him. He crushed the whip with his hand, and as he charged forward, he declared that it was time to die for Chelsea. But Jai Yaochuan managed to use his Dreamweaver to create a shield and block the demon's attack, which made him groan. He used his strings to push the demon away. The demon was startled when Jai Yaochuan suddenly groaned and exclaimed that it hurt and that his head felt like it was going to explode. Jai Yaochuan looked struggling, and as he called Chelsea, he demanded that she get out of his body, but Chelsea mocked him as a mere ant and questioned him for daring to resist her. The demon grinned, and as he jeered that it was a flaw, he lunged forward to attack Jai Yaochuan. But to his surprise, Jai Yaochuan managed to create ice and enclose his arms in it. Chelsea managed to take over Jai Yaochuan's body again, and as she released her dark aura on Jai Yaochuan's other hand, she sneered that trash remains trash, so even if she was injured, the demon couldn't do anything. But instead of attacking the demon, Jai Yaochuan's hand grabbed him at the back. Both Chelsea and the demon were confused when Jai Yaochuan's hand pulled the demon closer to his body, like a romantic gesture. Chelsea suddenly accused Jai Yaochuan of being at fault and questioned why he stopped her earlier. But when Jai Yaochuan heard Chelsea's question about him stopping her, he retorted that she was clearly the one hindering him. The demon was pissed at the situation, and he snarled that it was ridiculous. He kicked Jai Yaochuan and demanded if he was looking down on him, which Jai Yaochuan managed to dodge, and as he called Chelsea, he stated that they have a common enemy there, so unless she wishes to perish, she should let him take control of the body. Chelsea insulted Jai Yaochuan as a lowly human and warned him not to threaten her while she released the dark chains that surrounded Jai Yaochuan and made the demon groan. Jia Yaochuan was surprised when he noticed something, and Chelsea scoffed as she agreed and conceded that she would let Jia Yaochuan have her power for the time being, and that they should settle their discussion after they kill the demon. Meanwhile, the demon was charging towards Jia Yaochuan with his orbs of aura, and he inquired what trick Jia Yaochuan was playing at the moment. Jia Yaochuan excitedly directed the chains as he agreed with Chelsea, and he boasted that he would see how good he was at using her power. The chains caused huge explosions as they attacked the demon and crashed to the ground. Chelsea inquired Jia Yaochuan what he thought about it, if he was satisfied with her power, while the demon was coughing blood while laying on the ground and muttered that it was impossible while wondering how Jia Yaochuan could use Chelsea's psychic power so effortlessly, and if it could be that they had made a contract long ago and everything was just a performance to lower his guard. The demon cursed in his mind as he pulled out a syringe, and he murmured that he had to use a certain lord's power. He injected the contents of the syringe into himself and remarked that he just needed to inject the miraculous potion from that certain lord. The demon's eyes turned bloodshot as he exclaimed that he could feel power surging through his entire body. His body bulged out and ripped his clothes in the process. But Jia Yaochuan was already prepared, and as he aimed the sharp daggers at the end of the chain at the demon, he taunted that he should go meet his demise alongside his newfound power. The chains created explosions again as they crashed on the ground. But to Jia Yaochuan's surprise, the demon moved so quickly and was already behind him. He observed that the demon was fast and quickly turned to face it. But the demon had already managed to grab his face. The demon grinned as he slammed Jia Yaochuan's face on the ground. Jia Yaochuan stopped moving, which made the demon laugh, and he boasted that, just as expected from a certain lord's creation, he killed Jia Yaochuan with just one strike after using the potion. The demon crouched to grab Jia Yaochuan and stated that all he needed to do at the moment was bring back the corpse. But to his surprise, 2 slashing attacks cut his throat and his body. The demon was confused as to where the attack was coming from. Jia Yaochuan was the one who delivered the attack, and he dealt the finishing blow at the back of the demon's head. Chelsea managed to take over Jia Yaochuan's body again, and as the demon lay on the ground, she remarked that using power without a contract was such a burden on a human and indeed proved too much. She noted that handing over the body to her was the best choice. Chelsea materialized a snake using her aura, and she was sinister as she loomed over the demon on the ground. The snake opened its huge mouth to devour the demon. Blood was splattered all over the place. After consuming the demon, Chelsea clicked her tongue and grumbled that the taste was terrible, but at least some of her power was restored. Chelsea was startled when she tried to stand up and staggered. As Jia Yaochuan's body began to collapse, Chelsea's dark aura materialized her hand to catch Jia Yaochuan, and as she wondered if it was all Jia Yaochuan could withstand, she muttered that human bodies are just too fragile. Chelsea grumbled that had there been any other choice, she, the Empress, would not have stooped to saving Jia Yaochuan. Chelsea summoned her sharp weapon while holding Jia Yaochuan in her arm, and she declared that if it were up to her, she never would have done that. As she swung her weapon, she stated that Jia Yaochuan should be grateful for her mercy. Jia Yaochuan groaned in pain while Chelsea created a magic circle on his chest using the tip of her weapon. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan woke up in a place filled with lava, and Chelsea was coughing. As Jia Yaochuan wondered where that place was, he leaned in to see his reflection, and when he saw Chelsea's face, he wondered if he had become Chelsea. As Chelsea stood up and wiped off the blood from her face, Jia Yaochuan realized that it was one of her memories. Chelsea was facing a lot of demons, and as they repeatedly called her a traitor, they shouted that they should kill her. Suddenly, one of the demons was astonished when they saw a bright light appear in the sky. Everyone, including Chelsea, watched as the light landed on the ground. The light intensified and became a pillar that connected the ground to the sky, and the demons asked what it was. A gooey creature suddenly charged towards the light, and as it proclaimed that it was the eye so it could finally leave that place, one of the demons was startled when they heard it mention the eye. The other demons quickly turned their attention to the pillar of light, and as one of them commanded that everyone should step aside because the eye is theirs, another demon asserted that nothing could stop them, while another demon insisted that they must leave. While the other demons raced towards the pillar of light, someone pulled out a scythe and remarked that they all wanted it so much. It was Chelsea, and she announced that the thing was already hers. She swung her scythe at the demons. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan woke up, and he was lying on the ground with his injuries gone. Chelsea was sitting by the rubble near him, and she muttered that he was finally awake. Jia Yaochuan quickly stood up, and he was on guard when he inquired Chelsea what she had done to him, and Chelsea called him an ungrateful human. Chelsea leaned towards Jia Yaochuan and informed him that he should know that she, the Empress, saved his life, and Jia Yaochuan was surprised that he couldn't move. She asked Jia Yaochuan if he could feel it and explained that it was the power of cosmic rules, where he couldn't lay a hand on her, and likewise, she couldn't kill him. Jia Yaochuan was astonished when Chelsea's snake slithered behind him, and she mentioned that, after all, he was already her kin. He smiled and questioned Chelsea if everything he just saw was real. Jai Yaochuan queried Chelsea to confirm if she was chased in hell and couldn't survive, so she came to the human world, which pissed Chelsea, and as she demanded to know what he meant by she couldn't survive, she boasted that she fought 200 demons for 2 days and nights. Both of them awkwardly fell silent when Chelsea's stomach suddenly gurgled loudly. A few moments later, canned food was heated and opened, and Jai Yaochuan remarked that he didn't expect demons to feel hunger. Chelsea responded that since she came to that world, she has been bound by the power of that world's rules, while in her mind, she was satisfied and commented that it was tasty, so having a human kin wasn't so bad. Jai Yaochuan recalled something and inquired Chelsea why he had the mark on his chest. It caught Jai Yaochuan's attention when he heard something rustling, and he was surprised when he saw that Chelsea suddenly stopped eating, and she seemed like she was looking for something, so he nervously asked her what she was up to and insisted that he meant her no harm. Chelsea ordered Jai Yaochuan to shut up, and she moved her shawl and hair out of the way as she tugged on the top of her dress. Jai Yaochuan listened intently when Chelsea explained that in the Hell Dimension, demons are ranked on a leaderboard called the Demon Leaderboard, and each of the top 36 has such a number on them. Chelsea showed the same marking on her chest, and when Jai Yaochuan saw that it was number 1, he was about to inquire if it meant something, but Chelsea cut him off and revealed that she was betrayed, hence her ranking and memories were erased. But she confided that since she came to that world, she has felt that if she could consume all the ranked demons, her memories would return, so Jai Yaochuan should sign a contract with her, the Empress. Recalling what happened to the other demon, Jai Yaochuan noted that the potion that the demon drank was exactly the same as the one the Dean gave him back then, so the lord the demon mentioned was perhaps someone important. Jai Yaochuan pulled Chelsea close and challenged her to explain what was in it for him if he signed a contract with her, while in his mind, he acknowledged that Chelsea was also a target of Blaze. Chelsea pushed Jai Yaochuan away, and as she summoned a magic circle, she disclosed that she read his memories when he became her kin so she could help enhance his abilities and help him find the one who killed his parents. And she stipulated that Jai Yaochuan needs to help her return to the top of the demon leaderboard in return. Chelsea was surprised when Jai Yaochuan touched the magic circle and agreed that he was in. But the contract needed some additional conditions. Looking at the magic circle, Chelsea read that Jai Yaochuan added that there would be no arbitrary orders, possession, or coercion. Chelsea was pissed when she read those conditions. She grabbed Jai Yaochuan by the collar, and as she demanded to know what was with all those conditions, she threatened that he might as well just die. But Jai Yaochuan was unfazed, and he retorted that he shouldn't be cautious when she was the mightiest demon after all. Chelsea clicked her tongue as she mentioned that the only equal kinship was used on Jai Yaochuan, so if he is not the contractor, she can't unleash her full power. She grabbed Jai Yaochuan's hand and conceded that she would do as he wished. As Chelsea agreed that they should sign their contract, she placed a mark on his finger and confirmed that the contract was confirmed. A powerful light surged throughout the area and rose up in the sky. Jai Yaochuan was surprised when Chelsea turned into a small familiar resting on his shoulder, and she murmured that she was tired, so the rest was up to him. As Chelsea snuggled on Jai Yaochuan's shoulder, she whispered that it didn't feel so bad and fell asleep. A few moments later, the sun was starting to rise in the city, and a building still had rooms that were lit throughout the night. Suddenly, a system gave an alert and announced that demon appearances were increasing, so it requested that everyone proceed to the locations it mentioned immediately. And someone watching the alert remarked that the situation was worse than she thought. She was holding Jai Yaochuan's ID and stated that it was time to proceed to the next phase, which the man behind her acknowledged he understood. It was Lu Yao, and she lamented that the time left for her was running out. The sun shone brightly in a desolate, rocky place. A demon was sitting, and it seemed to be devouring a predator. The demon released its dark energy through its mouth while the predator was wailing in pain. The demon stood up and growled. Suddenly, a truck hit the demon at such an extreme speed that its face was flattened on its bumper. The demon was squashed on the road when 3 trucks ran past it, and one of the drivers remarked that it looked like the world turned upside down with predators cleaning up after other predators. Jai Yaochuan was sitting with the driver, and as the driver commented that they just have to wait until they finish each other off, so their good days are coming. Chelsea telepathically communicated with Jai Yaochuan and mentioned that those were the lowest level demons from the Hell Dimension who were probably starving so much that they were resorting to eating trash. Jai Yaochuan noted that he used to think that predators lacked intelligence, so it was interesting to see those low-level demons provoke such fear in predators. Talking about the demons, Jai Yaochuan asked the driver if he mentioned that those creatures were predators because they don't seem to match any description in the current official predator directory, and the driver explained that Jai Yaochuan must have been out of touch with the news. The driver explained that their cargo came from Rose City, and recently, those creatures appeared there, so the officials had to update the directory, and he recalled the news he saw, which reported that according to official research, the new type of predator that has been appearing recently was officially named sadists, and they are ranked on par with the level 3 infectors in the directory. The predator level classifications indicate that the higher the number, the higher the level, and at level 1, they have crawlers that were speed enhanced. At level 2, they are berserkers that were strength enhanced. At level 3, they are infectors that are capable of infecting ordinary humans. At level 4, they are mutators that were animal and plant hybrid mutations. And at level 5, they are overlords that possess some intelligence. Calling the driver uncle, Jia Yaochuan acknowledged that he understood and that if it weren't for the driver, he wouldn't even know how to get back to the city. So he thanked him. But in his mind, he realized that it looked like Rose City's officials were hiding the truth about the demons. The driver assured that it was nothing because they were going on the same path after all, and another pair of hands always helps. He noted that Jia Yaochuan has no idea how expensive those psychic guards in Rose City have become after the incident, so their business is going to get tougher. But they were taking the official cleared safe routes, so there's no danger, and once they reach Yanlin City, the cargo will definitely sell for a good price. While the driver was happy and grinning, the very first truck in the convoy was suddenly blown out of the road. He quickly stopped and got out of the truck to check on things. Jia Yaochuan also followed the driver, and they saw a man dragging an injured man to safety. Jia Yaochuan was astonished when he noticed something. A demon was charging towards them at an incredible speed. The driver also noticed the demon, and he managed to quickly release his powerful beam on it. He ran towards his companions and shouted that there was an enemy attack, so they should hurry up and evacuate the wounded. But to his surprise, a demon suddenly appeared beside him and roared loudly. The demon was about to pounce at the driver, but it suddenly got sliced in half. The driver thanked Jia Yaochuan and praised that he's got some real power, and Jia Yaochuan replied that he was happy to lend a hand. But the man carrying the injured was horrified when he pointed ahead as he called the driver Uncle Lai and exclaimed that he should look over there. There were demons gathered in front of them, and the man identified that they were sadists, and there were many of them. The demons' eyes were gleaming, and they were drooling as they stared at the men. Uncle Lai was scared that he fell on the ground, and as he cried that they were done and they were all going to die, Jia Yaochuan whispered and asked Chelsea if they all enjoy using those petty psychic intimidation tactics, to which she answered telepathically and insisted that he shouldn't compare her to those trash because she takes no pleasure in watching humans crumble. Chelsea asked Jia Yaochuan if he was ready for his first intensive training, and Jia Yaochuan agreed that there couldn't be better timing. The demons charged at them, and Uncle Lai cried that they were going to die there. Uncle Lai was horrified when blood was spilled in front of him. But Jia Yaochuan assured that they were not going to die. Jia Yaochuan has eliminated the demons using Chelsea's chains, and when Uncle Lai saw that, he inquired Jia Yaochuan exactly who he was. Jia Yaochuan replied that he was just someone who has been in the wilderness for a long time, and Uncle Lai should consider it a thank you for hitching him a ride. He stood there and commanded next, but the demons were already cowering in fear, and one of them urged that they should run, and all the demons did as he commanded. Jia Yaochuan threw the chain at them and challenged if they thought they could escape. The dagger at the end of the chain was approaching one of the demons from behind. The demon was slammed to the ground as the dagger pierced its back. It was smashed against the ground, and its blood was all over the place. Chelsea burped, but she warned that the next time Jia Yaochuan fed her that trash, he was dead, and Jia Yaochuan smiled and agreed that he got it. Jia Yaochuan added that, however, Chelsea wouldn't need to eat the next ones as he saw Uncle Lai, who looked relieved and remarked that the enforcement team was there. It was Lu Yao and her armed men, and Uncle Lai expressed thank goodness they were saved. Lu Yao approached them and inquired if they were all right. Uncle Lai was about to give credit to Jia Yaochuan, but Jia Yaochuan cut him off and responded that Lu Yao showed up just in time because they wouldn't have made it without their help. Jia Yaochuan turned to Uncle Lai to ask if he was right, and Uncle Lai agreed as he acknowledged that it looked like Jia Yaochuan wanted him to keep things quiet. Lu Yao noted that if that was the case, it was good to hear, and one of her men reported that they had captured a live sadist. She did not respond to the report, and instead, she teased that Jia Yaochuan sure had kept her waiting. But Jia Yaochuan replied that she must be joking and asked her what she was waiting for him for. Jia Yaochuan was startled when Lu Yao tapped him on the shoulder and mentioned that there were too many people there. He was surprised and alarmed when his presence started to dissipate. Jia Yaochuan and Lu Yao were transported to a different place, and Lu Yao observed that it was quieter there. He was horrified when he realized that it was a space jump, and he glanced at Lu Yao as he wondered if she was a space-based psychic. Lu Yao glanced back at Jia Yaochuan and suggested that they should have a talk. Without beating around the bush, Lu Yao immediately asked Jia Yaochuan to confirm if he had already signed a contract with a demon. Chelsea and Jia Yaochuan communicate telepathically, and as Chelsea asked Jia Yaochuan if he needed her to kill Lu Yao, Jia Yaochuan replied that Chelsea shouldn't rush because since Lu Yao dared to meet with them alone, she must have prepared quite a few tricks, so they should see what she wants first. Jia Yaochuan responded that he was not sure what Lu Yao was talking about, but Lu Yao retorted that there was no need to play dumb with her and asked Jia Yaochuan if he had heard of Heaven's Wrath. Jia Yaochuan inquired if it was the organization with many powerful psychics. Heaven's Wrath is a mysterious organization that emerged after the Red Rain calamity, and is dedicated to eradicating predators and operating globally. Lu Yao informed that they wanted Jia Yaochuan on their team, so he should join Heaven's Wrath. Jia Yaochuan remarked that he didn't expect Lu Yao to be a member of Heaven's Wrath, and her ideals were admirable, but he had other matters to attend to. Lu Yao scoffed and warned that Jia Yaochuan shouldn't be quick to refuse because joining Heaven's Wrath is his best choice, no matter what he wants to do. She explained that members of Heaven's Wrath could freely access 95% of the 7 major cities and could maximize the strength enhancement for Jia Yaochuan and his contracted demon. Jia Yaochuan asked what would happen if he still refused, but he trailed off. Lu Yao summoned chains underneath Jia Yaochuan's feet to restrain him, and when Jia Yaochuan noticed that, he questioned her if she was planning to imprison him. Lu Yao responded that it depends on Jia Yaochuan's choice because those who contract with demons unofficially must either join Heaven's Wrath or face termination. Jia Yaochuan laughed as he released his dark aura and removed his glasses. As the dark aura surged throughout his entire body, Lu Yao's chains were easily broken. Jia Yaochuan admitted that he indeed has signed a contract with a demon, and he's willing to join Heaven's Wrath. He materialized Chelsea's snake and demanded the right to choose his missions, and Heaven's Wrath must share information on demons with him. Lu Yao was taken aback, and she commented that she had the feeling that she was being watched by a venomous snake. She grinned as she acknowledged that Jia Yaochuan's contracted demon was strong, and the plan could be finally completed. Before anything else, Jia Yaochuan questioned Lu Yao about how much she knew about demons and how they appeared, to which Lu Yao answered and revealed that their origins were currently unknown. And while records of demons appearing have existed for many years, their widespread emergence is a recent phenomenon. Lu Yao snapped her fingers, and something started to appear as she mentioned that they had discovered something about those demons. The scene when the demon ate the predator appeared, and Lu Yao explained that the demons seemed to have the ability to restrain predators. Jia Yaochuan asked Lu Yao why they did not inform the public when they discovered it, and instead, they categorized demons as predators, to which Lu Yao replied and stated that human fear stems from the unknown. Lu Yao reasoned that too much knowledge would only cause chaos, and whether demons or predators, they were all monsters. Still communicating telepathically, Chelsea remarked that humans, no matter how long it has been, always like to hide things, and Jia Yaochuan speculated that the Heaven's Wrath organization probably has even more information about demons. Jia Yaochuan suggested that since Lu Yao has shown sincerity, they should hope that they get along well in the future. Lu Yao extended her hand to welcome Jia Yaochuan, but Jia Yaochuan just walked past her and stated that they should save the handshake for later. Jia Yaochuan warned that Lu Yao shouldn't disappoint him. Lu Yao informed that the next morning at 8, she will arrange for someone to take Jia Yaochuan to the airport, and she will take him to the headquarters to meet the other members. A few moments later, the sun was setting, and shadows started to cast over the windows of the apartment buildings. In his apartment, Jia Yaochuan was happily slicing a tomato, and he decided that he should just make another tomato salad for dinner. Suddenly, someone barged into the kitchen barefoot and called Jia Yaochuan. It was Chelsea, and while showing him the detached shower head, she complained that human things are also too hard to use. Jia Yaochuan was astonished when he saw the naked, soapy Chelsea. He quickly ran past Chelsea and regretted that he should have never left her alone in the bathroom, which angered Chelsea, and she demanded what was with the attitude. As he stood at the door of his bathroom, he looked horrified when he saw the mess, and he lamented that he was done for because it was going to take all night to clean up. Jia Yaochuan was startled when he remembered his kitchen, and he wondered if Chelsea hadn't messed it up. As he went back to the kitchen, he immediately called Chelsea and cautioned not to do something, but he trailed off when he saw her chugging something. Chelsea devoured Jia Yaochuan's tomatoes, and as she burped, she asked him if he got any more, and she observed that those things were much tastier than the emergency food he gave her before. But Chelsea was astonished when she saw Jia Yaochuan's demonic glare that was reflected in her eye when he called her name. Jia Yaochuan was sinister as he talked about his dinner that it terrified Chelsea, and made her revert back to her familiar form, and she nervously asked Jia Yaochuan if an empress can't eat when she's hungry. But instead of answering her question, Jia Yaochuan declared that Chelsea was dead, and Chelsea screamed as she concluded that Jia Yaochuan was the real demon in there. The next day, a helicopter was parked at a luxurious building that was near a body of water. Lu Yao was speechless when she noticed Jia Yaochuan. Chelsea has a bump in her head, while Jia Yaochuan has dark circles in his eyes, and as Lu Yao inquired if he couldn't sleep from excitement last night, he was irritated, and he explained that his kitchen got infested. Jia Yaochuan was surprised when Lu Yao didn't press on the matter and agreed as she turned her back to him. Lu Yao instructed that it was time to go because people from Heaven's Wrath were waiting for them. When they arrived at the outskirts of Santenberg City, Lu Yao stated that Jai Yaochuan should follow her, and Jai Yaochuan remarked that to be able to establish a base there, the overseer of Heaven's Wrath was probably a high-ranking member of the Santenberg Alliance. But Lu Yao was walking away from the city, and when Jai Yaochuan noted that he mentioned that the base would be inside Santenberg City, Lu Yao explained that Santenberg City has the most advanced defense system. As the doors opened, Lu Yao informed that all entries and exits in the city were recorded, which would restrict the actions of the Heaven's Wrath. Lu Yao turned to Jai Yaochuan and mentioned that they should go, as she would show him around there. A few moments later, they were on an elevator that was descending. Lu Yao gave Jai Yaochuan a card and informed him that it was his ID card with his room number on it. She explained and stated that the Heaven's Wrath base is divided into 5 floors in total, and the top 2 floors were living quarters, consisting of the dormitory and the cafeteria, while the bottom 3 were the core areas, consisting of the Psychic Testing Center, Training Center, and Mission Center. As the doors opened, Lu Yao mentioned that they were currently heading to the Testing Center. They entered the Testing Center, and Lu Yao explained that they needed to evaluate Jai Yaochuan's abilities and physique first because every psychic joining the Heaven's Wrath must undergo testing. While Jai Yaochuan was astonished as he looked at the apparatus in the center, a personnel member welcomed Lu Yao, and she thanked him for his hard work. Jai Yaochuan was in deep thought as he stared at the equipment. He removed Chelsea from his shoulders, and as he asked Lu Yao if he should just go in, Lu Yao responded that if he was not sure, he could let his demon accompany him inside. Chelsea glared at Lu Yao, and she scoffed in her mind as she remarked that he was a hypocrite. Jai Yaochuan entered the machine, and the doors were shut. He closed his eyes while inside, and the system notified them that the testing was in progress. But when Jai Yaochuan opened his eyes and used Dreamweaver, the system immediately gave a warning. One of the personnel announced that Jai Yaochuan's psychic index exceeded the capacity of the equipment, and Lu Yao was surprised. A bright, blinding light emerged from the equipment. Looking at the smoking equipment in front of her, Lu Yao realized that with that level of spiritual fluctuation, Jai Yaochuan is the person she has been looking for. Jai Yaochuan calmly dusted his coat as he came out of the equipment, and he apologized and noted that it seemed like the machine broke because of him. He took a glance at the screen beside him. Jai Yaochuan saw that he was a mental psychic type with a psychic level of S, but he was surprised and questioned that his physique was only ranked B. Lu Yao explained that psychics of the mental type usually have long-range attacks, and his B-level physique is almost surpassing that of ordinary enhancement-type psychics. She started a space jump and observed that since Jai Yaochuan's psychic level is S-level, they could skip the rest of the assessments. The two of them were transported to a different place. They were standing in front of a huge glass container where a snake-like demon was kept, and Lu Yao welcomed Jai Yaochuan to the Heaven's Wrath Research Center. Jai Yaochuan asked Lu Yao to confirm if it was the real reason she invited him there, and Lu Yao confirmed that he was right. He noted that with a demon research center of that scale, the Heaven's Wrath should be making big moves, while Chelsea asked him telepathically if Lu Yao wouldn't think of using them as experiments. Lu Yao explained that demons had descended to Earth long before the Red Rain calamity, and that the research center was actually the result of earlier efforts, and the Heaven's Wrath was just making use of it again. She asked Jai Yaochuan if he had seen the tech tree in the center of Santenberg City. Lu Yao noted that that was just its superficial function. She explained that the tech tree was, in fact, used for sealing those 36 ranked cowardly demons. Chelsea was agitated as she realized that it was the demonic aura she felt on the way there. Lu Yao stated that no one knows why demons have descended to Earth, but the evil energy they emitted has infected countless humans, giving rise to predators and psychics. Jai Yaochuan wondered if the power sources were linked and commented that it was no wonder that the demons could awaken the consciousness of predators. Lu Yao explained that under the tech tree are connecting channels with seals for the 36 ranked demons, and sending all demons back into the seals will end that calamity. She noted that only demons could defeat demons, so the Earth needs Jai Yaochuan's power. Jai Yaochuan remarked that he was not really concerned about the Earth's future. He asked Lu Yao if his contract with the demon was something she orchestrated. Lu Yao just stared at Jai Yaochuan without responding, so Jai Yaochuan called her name again in a questioning tone. Chelsea insisted that Jai Yaochuan should kill Lu Yao because she was just like the dean and they were up to no good, a bad person, a villain. But Jai Yaochuan suggested that Chelsea should do him a favor and shut up. Jai Yaochuan started summoning his strings and mentioned that Lu Yao had someone trail them from Yihu to Yanlin City. He used his Dreamweaver and remarked that Lu Yao sure has cast a long line. But Yu Lao mocked Jai Yaochuan by asking him to confirm if he didn't fall right into the trap. Jai Yaochuan seemed to have been enraged by what Yu Lao commented as he threw his scalpel at her without warning, and she was startled that she barely managed to dodge the attack, which grazed her cheek. Yu Lao was perturbed, as she pointed out that if it weren't for her spatial ability, that hit would have killed her. Meanwhile, through telepathy, Jia Yaochuan ordered that Chelsea should possess him immediately because the space there was suppressing his powers, and Chelsea responded and retorted that he shouldn't order her around. Chelsea was alarmed when her body began to dissipate. She reverted back to her humanoid form, and as she got trapped in an enclosure, she inquired what it was. While Chelsea called Yu Lao a lowly human and demanded that she should let her go, Jia Yaochuan was surprised when he saw Chelsea's situation. Lu Yao explained that it was a new tech they had been researching, and sadly, it was not fully refined yet, but it was sufficient for testing purposes. Jia Yaochuan acknowledged that it seemed like not all of Lu Yao's subordinates are useless, and at least the research center has some results. But he was startled when he noticed something. Jia Yaochuan was surprised, but he still managed to jump and dodge the dark arrow that was coming at him, and as it pierced the floor, a dark aura coming from it started to spread all over the place. He was stunned when he noticed something. Jia Yaochuan wondered why he couldn't move, and when he looked behind him, he saw that his shadow was being restrained by a black magic circle. Someone else arrived, and Lu Yao commended that it was well done. It was a lady with a bow made of shadows. Lu Yao introduced that her name was Xia Na, and like Jia Yaochuan, she's an outstanding employee with a 0 failure rate. But Lu Yao recalled that Xia Na's only mission that was a failure was the young girl's trafficking case by Yi Hu. Jia Yaochuan recalled the hostages, and he immediately realized that Xia Na was the one from that time. He noted that it was Lu Yao's outstanding employee who revealed his existence. Lu Yao stated that shadow demons can hide their presence, so Jia Yaochuan didn't realize that Xia Na was faking unconsciousness. She approached Jia Yaochuan and revealed that from the footage Xia Na sent back, they became interested in his abilities because his strong mental power is crucial for contracting with demons. But Jia Yaochuan suddenly smirked, and he asked Lu Yao if she didn't seem quite confident being that close to him. Lu Yao was agitated and surprised when she noticed Jia Yaochuan's strings wrapped around her. She dropped her coat as she groaned in pain, and Xia Na got worried about her. Xia Na immediately aimed her bow at Jia Yaochuan and demanded that he should let Lu Yao go. While strangling Lu Yao, Jia Yaochuan warned that the ball is currently in his court, so if Xia Na doesn't want Lu Yao to die, she should release Chelsea from her constraints, but Lu Yao commanded that Xia Na shouldn't listen to Jia Yaochuan. Xia Na was silent for a moment, and she seemed to be thinking deeply about what her next action would be. She released 2 arrows from her bow. Lu Yao groaned in pain as Jia Yaochuan dropped her into the ground while he blocked Xia Na's arrow with his Dream Weaver. On the other hand, Chelsea was surprised when the other arrow hit and destroyed her constraints. Xia Na quickly ran to Lu Yao and asked her if she was alright. Jia Yaochuan was evil as he loomed over Xia Na and Lu Yao while using Chelsea's chains, and when he remarked that Lu Yao put in so much effort just to trick him into coming there, and inquired Lu Yao if that didn't seem very honorable. Xia Na talked to Lu Yao and mentioned that her shadow remarked that Jia Yaochuan's demon is very strong. Lu Yao gestured for Xia Na to back off while she stood up, and she admitted that she wanted Xia Na to test Jia Yaochuan's abilities, but she didn't expect things to get a bit out of hand, so she apologized to Jia Yaochuan for her impudence. Jia Yaochuan stated that he hoped Lu Yao wouldn't make the same mistake again. But Chelsea telepathically expressed that they were hypocritical humans that were even more revolting than low-level demons. He demanded that Lu Yao should speak up and questioned her on what she wanted him to do, to which Lu Yao explained that she had formed a team of psychics who are all demon contractors and were currently missing a brain, so she asked Jia Yaochuan if he was interested. Jia Yaochuan replied that he was not interested in being a babysitter. Lu Yao offered that Jia Yaochuan won't be working for free, and as she showed him a map of demon appearances, she mentioned that besides the ranked demons, Jia Yaochuan could deal with other demons as he wishes, and the Heaven's Wrath will provide him with demon locations and other conveniences at no cost. Jia Yaochuan observed that the Heaven's Wrath goal is also for the ranked demons, so leveraging their power could help him fulfill his contract terms faster, and it's better to get rid of such a demon like Chelsea as soon as possible. He asked Lu Yao what the next step was, and Lu Yao informed that the Wailing Tower has a powerful demon there, and Xia Na will accompany him to subdue it the next morning. Xia Na put Lu Yao's coat back on her shoulders, and Lu Yao stated that at that time, Jia Yaochuan would meet the other 3 team members. Lu Yao grinned as she proclaimed that the perfect demon squad was finally coming together. A few moments later, the sun was already rising at Santenberg City Square. A man was standing in the square while looking at some sort of hive network and observed that fluctuations are normal. On the other hand, in the darkness, a predator was crushed underneath a huge pillar. A kid was absorbing the predators that were in pain, and he burped. Blood was dripping at the corners of his mouth, and he commented that it was tasty. Meanwhile, on the road in the middle of the rocky, desolate area, a red moon was shining. A man was manically laughing under that red moon while holding a demon's head in his hand. It was a peaceful evening, and in the building, there was a luxury bath. Jia Yaochuan was lounging in that bath with a glass of wine in his hand. He seemed to be thinking deeply about something as he raised the glass of wine in his hand and stared at it. Jia Yaochuan recalled when he was a kid, and someone announced that the 1724th experiment had concluded and the results had been transmitted. He was standing in a laboratory with a doctor, who informed him that they should prepare for the second experiment. Jia Yaochuan recalled the machine they used to test him at the testing center, and he commented that those two devices were exactly the same model. He rested his head against the chair, and he mentioned that Blaze and the Heaven's Wrath might have connections he was unaware of, and he had never heard of Thousand Faces, so he wondered if it was hidden within other organizations. Jia Yaochuan was startled when Chelsea suddenly grabbed his drink and remarked that he was really taking it easy. Chelsea clumsily drank the glass of wine wearing just a towel, and Jia Yaochuan pointed out that it was the men's bath. But Chelsea replied that she didn't care because she is a demon, and demons don't care about such things. Jia Yaochuan was startled again when Chelsea gently grabbed his chin. Chelsea leaned forward and seductively asked Jia Yaochuan if it was because he had some dirty fantasies about her. She leaned in closer and her eyes began to glow. Chelsea used her skill, enchantment, on Jia Yaochuan. Jia Yaochuan's eye lit up the same color as Chelsea's, and she explained that as long as she controlled his dream weaver, she could invade his mental world. While Jia Yaochuan was still in a daze, Chelsea commanded that he should just submit to her obediently, as she ordered him to offer his body willingly to her, the Empress. Jia Yaochuan began to murmur. He turned silent, and Chelsea inquired what he muttered. Jia Yaochuan suddenly activated his dream weaver, and as he wrapped his strings around them, he accused Chelsea of being a demon king and asserted that her schemes were written all over her face. Chelsea was surprised that she couldn't help but question Jia Yaochuan if he wasn't affected by the enchantment. Jia Yaochuan replied that he never underestimates his opponents. As Jia Yaochuan's strings wrapped around Chelsea, Chelsea exclaimed that he was a despicable human. Suddenly, the young, vulnerable, and injured version of Chelsea was shown, and as someone addressed her as princess, they declared that from that point onward, she was their revered demon king. Chelsea grew up, and she stood above the pile of skulls while hands were reaching out to her beneath her feet and demanding blood. Those creatures implored Chelsea to offer her blood to them. Back in the present, Chelsea's eyes lit up in rage as she tried to escape from Jia Yaochuan's restraints, and she shouted that he should get lost. Chelsea managed to remove Jia Yaochuan's strings, and as he fell on the floor, she warned that peeking into her memories has consequences. While Jia Yaochuan was wondering if what he just saw were Chelsea's memories, Chelsea called his name with contempt in her voice. Chelsea lunged at Jia Yaochuan and demanded that he should prepare for his punishment, which surprised Jia Yaochuan, but he still managed to dodge it. But Chelsea stopped attacking, and she looked surprised when she realized that she had accidentally grabbed the belt of Jia Yaochuan's robe. Jia Yaochuan froze and was speechless as he looked at his disheveled robe and realized that his body was exposed. He immediately got pissed at Chelsea. Jia Yaochuan yelled Chelsea's name, emphasizing every syllable of it, and the frog outside the building just croaked. The next day, the sun was up and shining over the Wailing Tower. Jia Yaochuan was waiting with Xia Na while Chelsea was complaining and telepathically questioned why Lu Yao didn't just teleport them directly there and protested that she was wasting too much of the Empress's valuable time. Jia Yaochuan explained that spatial transference consumes a lot of spiritual energy, and what Lu Yao was doing earlier was just meant to intimidate them, and Chelsea clicked her tongue. While Chelsea grumbled that humans are useless, the guy wielding a sword was attacking Jia Yaochuan from behind. Jia Yaochuan was able to dodge the man's attack, which was powerful that it created an explosion as it hit the ground. He got agitated, and as he wondered when the person appeared, he noted that he didn't notice him at all and that the person was strong. Xia Na identified the man as Sagrism and requested that he should stop because Jia Yaochuan is their new partner, but Sagrism retorted that it stinks. Sagrism glared at Jia Yaochuan and repeated that he really stinks. He charged towards Jia Yaochuan again and recounted that Bella expressed she didn't like Jia Yaochuan's smell. Suddenly, the man with the hive network appeared. A hive shield was created in between Sagrism and Jia Yaochuan, which blocked Sagrism's attack and broke the fight. The man lightheartedly suggested that Sagrism should come on. He advised that it was not gentlemanly to treat the newcomer so rudely. Sagrism clicked his tongue. A dark, gooey liquid was sticking all over Sagrism, whom he immediately recognized as Gyuzara, and he observed that even he was stopping him. Gyuzara urged that Sagrism should calm down because it was Lu Yao's arrangement. Sagrism talked to his sword, Bella, and as he acknowledged that he knew she disliked Jia Yaochuan's demon, he asked her if she could tolerate it just a bit. Bella agreed and conceded that for Sagrism, she would endure. Xia Na informed them that she has sent the details of the mission regarding the Wailing Tower to them, and time is short, but specifically, the target is likely a ranked demon, so everyone should be careful. Sagrism immediately walked towards the building and complained that it was bullfish and questioned why they shouldn't just kill anything that blocks the way, while Gyuzara ran after him and urged that he should wait for him. Meanwhile, the gentleman extended his hand to Jai Yaochuan as he politely greeted him, and as he introduced himself as Ba Yin, he requested that Jai Yaochuan take good care of him. Jai Yaochuan simply stated his name in response without shaking Ba Yin's hand, while Chelsea telepathically noted that Ba Yin is stronger than him. Chelsea remarked that she wanted Ba Yin's body, but she was cut off when Jai Yaochuan shoved her into his coat. The rest of the team began walking towards the Wailing Tower. Gooey liquid was all over the place when Sagrism and Gyuzura entered the Wailing Tower, and Sagrism remarked that the place was disgusting. As the two of them continued to walk inside, a monster suddenly appeared in the water behind them. The monster snickered as it lunged towards Gyuzura, who hadn't noticed it. Sagrism quickly came to protect Gyuzura and cut the monster in half. The other monsters in the water showed themselves, and Sagrism warned that Gyuzura should be cautious because those creatures navigate through the pools of water. Gyuzura grabbed Sagrism's jacket and asked him if he would protect him, which Sagrism confidently affirmed, of course. Bella started to release a fiery aura, and Sagrism vowed that he would be protecting his little brother. Sagrism charged forward enthusiastically and declared that it was his duty as an older brother. Seeing what Sagrism did, Gyuzura noted that Sagrism was still as impetuous as ever, but Gyuzura smiled as he licked his lips and acknowledged that it was fine. He used his skill, Gluttony, to devour the monsters, and he predicted that the further they go, there will be more of those things. On the other hand, Xiana and Ba Yin were walking together through a hallway. Ba Yin recalled how he suggested that they should move together because the barrier demon could hide their presence, which makes it easier to scout. But Jai Yaochuan apologized and admitted that he prefers working alone. And Ba Yin observed that Sagrism and Gyuzura working as a duo is one thing, but he asked if it was wise to let the newbie act independently. Xiana explained that the mission was specifically designed as Jai Yaochuan's initiation test, and Ba Yin speculated that the newbie must be really powerful to have an initiation test with a 4-star difficulty, so it looked like they've got another strong ally. But Xiana was worried as she expressed no because the newbie is dangerous. Meanwhile, Jai Yaochuan was exploring the place when Chelsea telepathically mentioned that they had just been going in circles and asked him if he was sure he knew what he was doing. Jai Yaochuan confirmed that, if he was not mistaken, they have hit a ghost wall, and Chelsea commented that everywhere is covered with the sticky substance, and it was disgusting. Noticing the monster that was eyeing him from the pillar, Jai Yaochuan inquired if those monsters that kept popping up looked like mermaids. Suddenly, Chelsea warned that Jai Yaochuan should be alert, which made Jai Yaochuan nervous. Something seemed to be approaching Jai Yaochuan at an incredible speed from behind, and Chelsea alerted that there was something coming their way. Jai Yaochuan was alarmed, and he quickly turned behind him while wielding his string. He was stupefied when he saw that the place was empty, and he stated that there was nothing. But a sinister figure appeared behind Jai Yaochuan, and he nervously glanced over his shoulder. It was the rank 31 mermaid demon, and she demanded that Jai Yaochuan should give her a child. Jai Yaochuan was taken aback by what the mermaid demon requested. Chelsea suggested that Jai Yaochuan should just agree because maybe the mermaid demon will happily let them out, but Jai Yaochuan snapped that she should shut up. Jai Yaochuan attacked the mermaid demon with his string and asserted that having children should be done with someone they love. He called the mermaid demon a beautiful miss and advised that she should treasure herself. The mermaid demon was stunned and confused when she heard Jai Yaochuan call her beautiful miss. She was happy as she asked Jai Yaochuan if it was a proposal. She admitted that she was embarrassed that he called her beautiful. She wondered what she should do and how many kids they should have. And she stated that she heard that human children needed to be named, so she inquired what they should name them. But the mermaid demon's daydream shattered when Jai Yaochuan destroyed half her body with his strings. A few moments later, water was starting to flow quickly, and someone exclaimed that it was too much. It was the mermaid demon, and she seemed dejected as he hunched over the water, which made her children surround her and worry. The mermaid demon was terrifying as she raised her head and lamented that she didn't get to ask Jai Yaochuan's name. The waterspout suddenly formed. Water suddenly flooded through the hallways. It also flooded the open area filled with columns where Jai Yaochuan was earlier. As the water surged aggressively, Sagrism broke a window and jumped through it while protecting Gyuzura in his arms. Sagrism landed safely on the ground. While Ba Yin and Xiana were approaching them from behind, Sagrism inquired if Gyuzura was hurt, and Gyuzura replied that he was fine, but Sagrism was injured. While Xiana was checking the system, Ba Yin remarked that it was what they get for not following orders, and he asked them if it didn't serve them right. Gyuzura asked about Jai Yaochuan, and Sagrism speculated that he was probably dead there because, after all, he was just a waste. But Xiana mentioned that Jai Yaochuan's life signal was still present. Looking at the broken window above her, Sia suggested that they should observe for a bit longer. On the other hand, an empty room was filled with water. Chelsea was trapped inside a water bubble, and as she called the mermaid demon a rotten thing, she warned that she shouldn't touch the Empress's stuff, but the mermaid demon confessed that she likes Jia Yaochuan so much. The mermaid demon was fawning over Jia Yaochuan, and she admitted that she really liked him and that she really wanted him to give her a child. Pulling out a pearl from her chest, the mermaid demon acknowledged that she knew that Chelsea had signed a master-servant contract, but she didn't care. The mermaid demon was feeding the pearl to Jia Yaochuan, and she proposed that she could sign a new contract with him and they would never be apart. The mermaid demon was feeding the pearl to the unconscious Jia Yaochuan, and she declared that just one more step and the contract would be established. She whispered that they could be together forever, but Jia Yaochuan suddenly apologized, which surprised the mermaid demon. Jia Yaochuan looked at the mermaid demon and remarked that he was not interested in raw food. The mermaid demon was surprised when Jia Yaochuan suddenly dug his scalpel into her side. She cried out that it hurt so much and was screaming in pain while Jia Yaochuan stood up. On the other hand, Chelsea made the water bubble restraining her dissipate effortlessly, and as she inquired Jia Yaochuan how it was, she asked to confirm if her acting wasn't too bad. While Chelsea commented that she didn't expect the stupid thing to let her guard down around Jia Yaochuan completely, the mermaid demon murmured that she felt so sad and it hurt so much. The mermaid demon was crying, and as tears turned to diamonds, she pleaded why Jia Yaochuan would betray her too. She recalled how she walked towards the shore and found an injured man lying on the sand. She crouched down to take a good look at him. The mermaid demon brought the man into a house and began treating his injuries. When the man healed, he began painting while the mermaid demon was happily playing with flowers while watching him. The mermaid demon was happy, but that image was shattered as a bloody hand broke through the image and begged for help and to be saved. The mermaid demon was chained and was lying upon stage while a man announced that the final item up for auction is mermaid meat, a rarity that comes once in a millennium. The man stated that it was said that eating mermaid flesh grants eternal life, and people started bidding from 500 million up to 1 billion, which drowned out the mermaid demon's plea for someone to save her. While someone asked if 3 billion was enough, the mermaid demon recognized a man in the midst of sinister faces, and she called out to him as her beloved. But the man smirked and mocked that she was quite valuable while calling her a stupid thing. Back in the present, the mermaid demon kept on accusing that Jia Yaochuan was a liar, and that he deceived her, but it was okay. Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea were affected by the strong gust of wind that the water created as it surged around the mermaid demon when she transformed into something more sinister. The mermaid demon gathered her aura in the palm of her hand, and she proclaimed that once Jia Yaochuan became a corpse, she could stay with her forever. She threw her attack at Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea, and the two of them managed to dodge that attack. Chelsea possessed Jia Yaochuan, and as she summoned her scythe, she inquired if it was a full showdown and mentioned that it had been a while since she had a real fight. The mermaid demon gathered water in the palm of her hand and demanded that Jia Yaochuan should just die already. Jia Yaochuan jumped and charged towards the mermaid demon, as he admitted that it might be a bit difficult. As he swung Chelsea's scythe, the mermaid demon threw torrents of water to block his attack. The mermaid demon lunged at Jia Yaochuan and commanded that he should die. Jia Yaochuan managed to dodge the mermaid demon's attack by using his string to maneuver himself and hit her face in the process. As he managed to get out of the range of the mermaid demon's attack, he conceded that if that attack hit him, he would probably be reduced to nothing but bone dust. As Jia Yaochuan skidded on the floor, Chelsea asked him telepathically if he was scared, and Jia Yaochuan seemed to be surprised by the question. Jia Yaochuan grinned, and he confessed that at the moment, he is thrillingly excited. He used his strings and directed them forward. Those strings were coming at the mermaid demon. A huge explosion occurred as Jia Yaochuan's strings hit the wall. He noticed that the mermaid demon managed to swiftly move behind him, and he realized that she was moving through water. Jia Yaochuan effortlessly dodged the mermaid demon's attack, and he acknowledged that since that was the case, she was practically delivering herself to him. He stabbed his scalpel into the mermaid demon's flesh. Jia Yaochuan's strings were wrapping around the mermaid demon's tentacles while Chelsea's chains were wrapping around her body, and Jia Yaochuan exclaimed that he got her. The mermaid demon was alarmed when she got thoroughly restrained, but suddenly she grinned. Jia Yaochuan nervously watched as the mermaid demon started chanting spells and her aura was surging out of her. The mermaid demon continued chanting spells and her aura started creating a water spout, which surprised Jia Yaochuan. Ranked demons wield special rule-based powers, and the higher their rank, the stronger the power they obtain, and the mermaid demon used her rule enhancement. Jia Yaochuan was taken by surprise when he got hit by the mermaid demon's tentacles. He was sent flying, and he coughed as he crashed into the wall. Jia Yaochuan gritted his teeth as he remarked that the mermaid demon's speed had increased. The mermaid demon started melting. She used her skill, the 100 Refinements illusion technique, and covered the entire place with her melted self. Chelsea complained that she can't get a lock on the mermaid demon with her attacks, and it was annoying as she was squirming around like an eel, and Jia Yaochuan was silent. Jia Yaochuan took a step forward, and as he stated that things that couldn't be caught just needed to vanish, Chelsea asked him if he had a plan. He replied that it was sort of. Jia Yaochuan prepared to swing the scythe, and he mentioned that it would just be a bit noisy. He broke the window using the scythe. With the scythe still on the window, Jia Yaochuan ran toward the end of the room and destroyed all the windows the scythe came into contact with. The walls cracked when Jia Yaochuan reached the end of the windows. Meanwhile, when the windows were destroyed, the shattered glass fell outside, and while Ba Yin protected Ziana with his shield, Sagrism was just protecting Gyuzura with his arm, and he asked who the hell was trying to crush him even in death. The walls crumbled, and the light started to come into the room. Jia Yaochuan filled the room with his strings, and as he used his skill, True Words, he declared that it should ignite. His strings started to ignite, and the water in the room began to evaporate. The water was boiling, and the mermaid demon cried out that it was hot. The mermaid demon couldn't help but reveal herself, and as she shrieked that it was hot, she screamed in pain. Jia Yaochuan called Chelsea and informed her that it was her chance. Chelsea dug her chains into the mermaid demon's body. The mermaid demon started crying as she wailed that it hurt so bad. While Jia Yaochuan was astonished as he watched her tears turn into gems, the mermaid demon saw the reflection of her happy face in one of those gems, and as she wondered if it was how she would die, she muttered that she couldn't accept it. The mermaid demon recalled again how her happiness was destroyed and how she asked for help and for someone to save her. She was chained and brought up for auction. Her plea for someone to save her was drowned out by the bids. The mermaid demon saw her beloved, who was standing in the middle of the sinister crowd. Suddenly, the man announced that he would buy the mermaid demon. The next part of the memory was that the man was treating the mermaid demon's injuries, and he confessed that even though she couldn't speak, he knew. The man was flustered as he inquired if the mermaid demon was right that she liked him. The mermaid demon was also flustered. She placed her hand on the man's hand as she tried to reflect on her thoughts. The man was happy as he grabbed her hand. The mermaid demon tried to speak but was having a hard time. The word, like, came out of her mouth and the man was surprised. The man hugged the mermaid demon and they were happy. But suddenly, the mermaid demon kept thinking that she was hungry. And when she came back to her senses, she was surprised to see a pool of blood and ripped clothes in front of her. The mermaid demon was astonished, and she questioned herself about what she had done to the person she liked the most. She screamed in agony, and her face began to transform. Back in the present, Chelsea's chains that were dug into the mermaid demon's chest started to release ice. The mermaid demon's entire body started to get enclosed in ice, and she whispered that death was the best destiny for her. Jia Yaochuan watched the mermaid demon silently, and he realized that she had sealed away her memories because of the pain. Chelsea's aura started to emerge from the chains. Materializing into a huge snake with her aura, Chelsea loomed over the frozen mermaid demon and declared that the Empress finally got to devour her. But Chelsea was surprised when Jia Yaochuan's strings appeared in front of her and requested that she should wait. She turned to Jia Yaochuan and demanded why he was stopping her. Jia Yaochuan explained that fighting with the Heaven's Wrath over a demon rank 31 isn't worth it, and they still needed their intel to collect other ranked demons. Chelsea slowly slithered forward. She loomed over Jia Yaochuan and inquired if he was ordering her, but while preparing his strings behind him, Jia Yaochuan clarified that he was just planning for the long term. Jia Yaochuan looked nervous, and he admitted that with the contract's limits, Chelsea couldn't fatally harm him, but he was concerned about what would happen if he took another beating from her in his current state. His thoughts were disrupted as he got surprised when Chelsea licked his face. Chelsea tasted it a bit, and she remarked that it doesn't smell like a lie. She turned back to her familiar form, and while Jia Yaochuan was wiping his face, she warned that he shouldn't get too clever because her patience has its limits. Gazing at the city from the huge hole he created on the wall, Jia Yaochuan let out a sigh of relief, and he commented that things were finally resolved. A few moments later, as the evening came, a building was set on fire. A man in a hood was in an alleyway, and he was in a hurry to contact someone. But he was horrified and screamed when a predator suddenly appeared behind him. Blood was spilled. While the predator was devouring the man, his communication device kept on beeping. While the city was in utter chaos, a message was pushed through that gave warning to others and stated that Dorn City had fallen, so they urgently needed rescue. Dust wafted out of the broken floor of the Wailing Tower when Ziana received the alarm. Ziana reported that there was trouble in Dorn City and Liu Yao needed them there ASAP. Ba Yin remarked that Jia Yaochuan still hadn't shown up, and Sagrism scoffed, commenting that Jia Yaochuan was better off dead if he was just that weak. Suddenly, a huge chunk of ice burst out of the Wailing Tower, and Sagrism questioned what and who the hell that was. The ice crashed on the ground, and as Sagrism ran away, Ba Yin used his shield to protect him and Ziana. Jia Yaochuan emerged and addressed everyone. He inquired whether they weren't supposed to take down demons. Gyuzura pointed out that it seemed there was a problem with their intel as the demon wasn't ranked. but Xia Na insisted that the intel was not wrong. Xia Na used the cube in her hand and enclosed the mermaid demon. She announced that on Star Era, July 1st, 1044, 1622, the demon rank 31st had been captured. Ba Yin applauded and welcomed Jia Yaochuan to the demon squad. But Jia Yaochuan dismissed the pleasantries, asking if he was right that Ba Yin was the contract holder for barrier demons. Ba Yin admitted that he didn't expect Jia Yaochuan to remember his name. Ba Yin recalled and was about to mention the other two, and Jia Yaochuan guessed if they were Sagrism and Gyuzera. Gyuzera grumbled that he doesn't like strangers calling him by his name, while Sagrism acknowledged that Jia Yaochuan took on a ranked demon solo. Gyuzera challenged Jia Yaochuan, saying that they should have a fight. Suddenly, Xia Na fired her dark arrow. She pinned Sagrism's shadow down, and everyone was astonished. Xia Na declared that Sagrism could pick fights with whomever he wanted after the mission ended, but their top priority at the moment was supporting Dorn City. Sagrism clicked his tongue. He muttered that they should get moving because after the trouble in Dorn City was sorted, he and Jia Yaochuan could settle their score, while Gyuzera called out and urged that they should go. On the other hand, Chelsea contacted Jia Yaochuan and warned that Sagrism is not easy to deal with, and Jia Yaochuan chuckled inwardly. Jia Yaochuan remarked that the truly strong ones probably hadn't shown their true nature yet. A few moments later, the demon squad traveled on a vehicle protected by Ba Yin's shield. Xia Na was talking to Lu Yao and informed her that they were on their way and that she got it. Meanwhile, Chelsea communicated telepathically with Jia Yaochuan and commented that Ba Yin looked pretty tasty. Jia Yaochuan explained that barrier demons could conceal their presence, making them adept at evading assaults from predators and other demons, a trait that is quite useful, but keeping the demons on the go, burning through that much energy for so long, consumes some serious mental power. Chelsea asked Jia Yaochuan if he knew what kind of person contracts demons. She speculated that there were only two types, one is a villain and the other has secrets. Chelsea asked Jia Yaochuan if he would care to guess which of those the squad was. Jia Yaochuan turned the question back, asking Chelsea what kind of person she thought he was, and Chelsea teased that he was obviously the kind of guy who's both disgusting and full of secrets. He stated that Dorn City is a prison managed by the heretical faction, and it was likely to attract quite a few demons. Meanwhile, a lot of monsters attacked Dorn City, a gathering place where criminals who violated the laws of the Santenberg Alliance resided, and they were there to make amends for their mistakes. A man reported to Lu Yao and mentioned that the fog surrounding Dorn City was similar to the one that appeared at the Shadowless Church before, but with a much higher concentration, so their existing shielding methods were not fully effective. Lu Yao asked the man about the members sent in, and the man informed her that they had lost the signals of Teams 1 and 2, and the signal of the surviving members of Team 3 was also weakening, so the lab suspected that there might be life forms in that fog. Lu Yao instructed the man to keep an eye on the remaining members of Team 3's second signal and urged the lab to speed up to see how much information they could still gather about the fog, and the man acknowledged the order. She remarked that all they could do at the moment was wait for the members of the demon squad to arrive. Meanwhile, in a dark alley in a city, blood splattered all over the place. A monster munched on some meat laid on the ground. Blood dripped out of its mouth as it continued munching. A demon arrived and inquired if those snacks still suited its taste. The monster stopped chewing and swallowed the meat. It replied that it was delicious. The monster stated that it ate, and the demon mentioned that he merely watched. The demon remarked that 3 days had passed, and the monster's minions must have nearly wiped out the city's population. He noted that all was well as long as the monster enjoyed its meal, but in his mind, he thought it was difficult to communicate with such low-level trash that could barely speak. The demon reminded the monster that the real enemy was almost at their doorstep, and he inquired if it remembered their deal. He urged the monster to keep it up and wipe out the humans in the city, expressing his belief in it. The demon added that the rest was up to the monster, so it shouldn't disappoint him. Meanwhile, at the Heaven's Wrath temporary base in Dorn City, the demon squad arrived. Lu Yao explained that 3 days earlier, Dorn City had been attacked by unknown creatures, followed by a mysterious fog that cut off all communications, so none of the team she had sent for reconnaissance had returned. She summarized the situation and, as she asked the others for their thoughts, Xia Na observed that the fog was similar to what appeared when summoning demons, so it was most likely related to demons, while Sagrism proposed they should barge in and kill anything that moved once they arrived. Xia Na pointed out that they had no clue about what was going on inside, and Jia Yaochuan queried what if it was a trap. Ba Yin suggested that he and Xia Na should scout first, as they had done before. Lu Yao refused, stating that Jia Yaochuan and Xia Na should go at that time. Both Xia Na and Jia Yaochuan were surprised. Ba Yin questioned if Jia Yaochuan, still a newbie, was fit for the mission, and Lu Yao asked if he could handle the upcoming mission perfectly after a day, and night of continuous strain, as he had used his barrier demons all the way there. Liu Yao remarked that Sagrism and Gyuzuro were good at fighting but not suited for that kind of work, and Sagrism clicked his tongue. She added that she didn't want to add unnecessary risks before the mission started, and at the moment, Jia Yaochuan and Xia Na were the best fit for the mission. Jia Yaochuan acknowledged this as approval but offered to handle the mission alone, mentioning that the Blaze organization was deeply involved with summoning demons, and maybe they were behind what had happened in the city, so it was a good chance for investigation. However, Liu Yao insisted that Xia Na was more familiar with executing missions, so she had to go with Jia Yaochuan at that time, and the rest should be ready to move in at any moment. Chelsea telepathically told Jia Yaochuan that Liu Yao wanted someone to keep an eye on him, and Jia Yaochuan responded that it didn't matter because they would do things their way. Evening came, and Dorn City was quiet. Suddenly, a cube fell from the sky. Xia Na and Jia Yaochuan emerged as the cube disappeared. Jia Yaochuan explained that Liu Yao had temporarily stored her abilities in a cube, allowing others to use them, and that he hadn't expected her abilities could be used that way when Xia Na suddenly urged him to wait. A huge monster was flying in the sky, and Xia Na asked what it was. The monster was carrying dead people in its mouth. It dropped the bodies into the horde of predators waiting on the ground. Xia Na inquired if the demons were feeding the predators, and Jia Yaochuan suggested that the situation seemed more complicated than they had thought. Suddenly, a predator lunged at Xia Na from behind. Jia Yaochuan quickly blocked the predator's attack and warned Xia Na to watch out. Xia Na immediately summoned her dark arrow. She directed Jia Yaochuan to remove the barrier after 2 seconds, and Jia Yaochuan agreed. As soon as Jia Yaochuan removed the barrier, Xia Na fired her dark arrow at the predator. The predator crashed and was pinned to the ground by Xia Na's arrow. It screamed in pain. Xia Na noted that they were safe for the moment. Suddenly, Xia Na noticed Joris hiding in the corner. Xia Na demanded to know who was there. Joris asked if Xia Na and Jia Yaochuan both possessed special abilities. Joris asked Xia Na and Jia Yaochuan where they were from. But instead of answering, Xia Na inquired who Joris was. Jia Yaochuan recalled that Liu Yao had mentioned they should claim to be from the Santenberg Alliance if they met any survivors because it would be more convincing than being seen as part of a smaller group like the Heavens Wrath. And Jia Yaochuan explained that he hadn't expected to encounter actual survivors. Jia Yaochuan informed Joris that they were from the Santenberg Alliance and had been sent to support Dorn City. He then questioned Joris about his identity. Joris appeared astonished upon hearing of the Santenberg Alliance. He expressed relief, noting that the Alliance had finally sent help. Joris introduced himself as a locksmith and remarked that it wasn't the right place to talk, suggesting Xia Na and Jia Yaochuan follow him. A few moments later, Joris guided the two of them toward an underground passage. He explained that most survivors were hiding there, so they should accompany him. Xia Na tried to caution Jia Yaochuan about Joris, but Jia Yaochuan responded by referencing the intel they had received, stating that even if he was a mouse, they still needed to follow him, asking if he was wrong. Jia Yaochuan urged them to move forward and entered the passage. As they descended underground, Joris recounted that before the Red Rain calamity, that place had been Mammon City, a city prone to flooding, so its advanced underground drainage system had helped them survive. Jia Yaochuan remarked that Joris seemed well acquainted with the place, implying that he must have lived there for a long time. Joris confirmed, stating that before the Red Rain calamity, he had indeed lived there, as it was his hometown. Joris announced their arrival. Both Jia Yaochuan and Xia Na were startled when they saw what was inside the room. Joris explained that without familiarity with the underground structures, it would be difficult to find that place, so they were safe there. Chelsea telepathically clicked her tongue and remarked that an unpleasant stench pervaded the area, even affecting her perception. Jia Yaochuan asked why, if it was so safe, he couldn't see any other survivors as Joris claimed. Suddenly, one of the criminals fired a gun at Jia Yaochuan and Xia Na. Jia Yaochuan swiftly blocked the bullets. Joris commanded that Jia Yaochuan and Xia Na, as members of the Santenberg Alliance, should be captured. Jia Yaochuan observed that it seemed they were dealing with criminals imprisoned there, and Xia Na urged Jia Yaochuan to hold on, suggesting they should try talking to them first. A large cage abruptly dropped onto Jia Yaochuan and Xia Na, trapping them. Jia Yaochuan questioned whether it was source stone, a rare mineral capable of sealing abilities, and Xia Na confirmed it appeared to be. Joris ordered the others to come out. As the others emerged, one woman asked Joris if he had brought back the meds. Joris reported that the damage above ground was severe, and he hadn't been able to locate the Exile faction's stockpile of meds. The woman, concerned, asked what they would do, as they needed the Dove antidote by the next day to survive. Joris reassured her, saying they now had a bargaining chip. Jia Yaochuan commented that he had suspected the Exile faction couldn't control so many criminals without drugs, and Xia Na remarked that the cage was likely a tool the Exile faction used to control them, questioning whether the area was a prison rather than just an underground conduit. Joris declared that they had figured it out, revealing that it was indeed where they used to live, a life of perpetual darkness and ceaseless labor. He mentioned that the so-called dove's poison tormented them constantly. Xia Na inquired why, if it was so painful, Joris hadn't refrained from stealing in the first place. Joris, taken aback, heard her continue, noting that the iron wire hidden in his wrist might have been a makeshift tool he had been forced to use during the disaster. Jia Yaochuan added that the equal length of Joris' index and middle fingers was the result of years of training in theft. Joris angrily demanded they be quiet, questioning how high and mighty folks like them could possibly understand their suffering. The woman urged Joris to calm down, pointing out that securing the antidote was their priority. She stated that Jia Yaochuan and Xia Na should arrange for their people to send over vehicles, supplies, and meds by that night, or they would be left to die. Xia Na expressed a desire to contact them, but pointed out that Dorn City was shrouded in signal-blocking fog. Joris accused them of attempting to trick him, reminding them that they had clearly told him they were the rescue personnel sent by the Santenberg Alliance, so if they could enter, there must be a way for them to exit. Jia Yaochuan sighed, remarking that it was troublesome and suggesting Joris should figure out someone's inventions before launching an attack. He called out to Xia Na, commenting that they had stalled long enough, and asked her if her shadow demon had recovered yet. Joris suddenly found himself unable to move or even speak, wondering aloud how that was possible when the Source Stone was supposed to suppress their powers. Xia Na nonchalantly stated that apart from the 26 people present, there were 14 more hidden, and her shadow informed her that they were all under control. Jia Yaochuan instructed them to open the cage. Chelsea scoffed, remarking that he should have done it sooner, as no mere Source Stone could contain demonic powers. He swung his scalpel, effortlessly shattering the cage. Joris was horrified at what Jia Yaochuan had done. Jia Yaochuan pointed his scalpel at Joris' bloodshot eyes and announced that they should now see what had truly happened in Dorn City. At the Dorn City underground crude stone mine, Joris mentioned that with 215 blocks, they had finally finished the morning. Suddenly, George inquired if Joris had noticed fewer faces around lately, but Joris advised that he shouldn't speculate because they just needed 2 more years, and they would be out of there. George wondered what the Exile faction needed all those crude stones for when Brian suddenly whipped him and demanded who had given him permission to chit-chat. Brian announced that it would be double the workload for Joris and George that day for daring to chat on the job. George accused Brian of abusing his power for personal revenge. Brian retorted that George already dared to talk back to him, and as he kicked George, Joris caught him. Brian insulted the others, calling them a bunch of pigs, and ordered them to hurry up and move it. He reminded them that if it weren't for the Exile faction showing kindness, they, the criminals, would have been dead in the wasteland long ago. Brian labeled them as a bunch of ungrateful backstabbers. Suddenly, another officer approached and whispered something to Brian. Brian grinned evilly. He gathered everyone and announced that it was enough because it was their turn to dine with their esteemed guests. Brian instructed them to behave themselves. The criminals all began walking out of the mines in a single line. A few moments later, they reached the Dorn City mining facility. Joris remarked that it was so bright outside. The criminals were silent as they lined up neatly behind the officers. George suddenly questioned Joris if he didn't feel like those people were acting a bit off that day, and Joris agreed that it was unusually quiet. Meanwhile, the demon called Hobart, leader of the Exile faction, noted that the time was up and inquired if they should commence the feast at that moment. Hobart ordered the food to be served. The guards suddenly transformed into predators, and all their attention was focused on the criminals behind them. As the predators began devouring the criminals, one of them cursed and wondered how the soldiers had turned into predators. Joris exclaimed that all of the Exile faction had turned into predators and speculated if they were conducting some secret experiment. One of the criminals addressed Joris and reminded him that he was good at picking locks. He urged Joris to help him out as he was an ability holder, and as Joris agreed, another criminal stated that he was also an ability holder, so Joris should help him too. Joris quickly unlocked the handcuffs of those 2 criminals. One of them exclaimed that his abilities had returned, and the other confirmed the same. One of the criminals laughed and proposed killing them all, and the other agreed, asking to be counted in. Joris observed that the handcuffs were made of crude stones and speculated whether it meant that crude stones could suppress abilities. The demon remarked that he didn't expect some rats to show up at their feast that day. He noted that it seemed he would need to execute the plan early. The demon summoned monsters resembling dragons. When the criminals saw the monsters, they questioned what those creatures were. One of the criminals was horrified when he saw a monster about to stomp on him. He screamed in pain as he failed to dodge it, and while other criminals were also caught, some continued running away. Suddenly, George pushed Joris aside and warned him to watch out. George shielded Joris from the monster's claws with his own body. Blood spurted from George's back as the monster withdrew its claws. George coughed up blood, and Joris repeatedly called his name. George groaned in pain as he called for Joris. He expressed that when the demons were gone, they would escape together and return home. George collapsed to the ground. Joris refused to accept it, and George urged him not to do dangerous things for him anymore and to return to their little village. George wistfully mentioned that he wanted to taste Auntie Lynn's apple pie. Joris reassured him that once they were out, he would buy him as many as he wanted, so George should wake up and not fall asleep. He reminded George that they still had to go back to their little village and plant lots of flowers in front of their house. George apologized to Joris. He pleaded with Joris to promise that he would survive no matter what, for him. George's eyes lost their life as tears rolled down his face. Joris screamed in agony while everything around him burned. Suddenly, Joris noticed another monster's claw coming at him from behind. He quickly dodged the attack while still holding George in his arms. Joris watched from a dark alley as the monster checked the ground to see if it had crushed him. Joris declared that he must do something, not just to survive but to expose the darkness of Dorn City. Back in the present, Jai Yaochuan observed that, as expected, the demons had teamed up with the predators, and it seemed their target was the imprisoned criminals of Dorn City. Xia Na mentioned that she had given the people something to temporarily sedate them. She added that her shadows would protect them if they were in danger. But Jai Yaochuan chuckled, stating that the shadows wouldn't be able to protect them. He threw Chelsea's chain and hit something behind him. Jai Yaochuan declared that once they left, the demon would devour all the people. The demon snickered, admitting that he hadn't expected Jai Yaochuan to find him. Jai Yaochuan questioned the demon about the fog outside the city and the people who had entered earlier. The demon taunted Jai Yaochuan, saying that if they were his friends, it was too bad because he had already eaten them, and they had tasted quite good. Jai Yaochuan and Xia Na struggled as the fog thickened around them. The demon ominously announced that it was now their turn. The demon snickered and declared that in that fog, he was the absolute god. Jai Yaochuan remarked that the demon was an annoying guy, and as he inquired if all demons had such a huge ego, Chelsea questioned what he meant. Chelsea retorted that Jai Yaochuan shouldn't lump her with that trash. She used her chains to silence the demon and restrain it. Xia Na quickly prepared her dark arrow. She admitted that she hadn't realized she had been trailed by the enemy for so long. Xia Na acknowledged that she had really gotten too comfortable. The dark arrow struck the demon's face and destroyed it. The demon vanished. However, Xia Na was horrified as her shadow murmured that she had missed, while Jai Yaochuan cautioned her to be careful. The demon appeared on Xia Na's side, and she was unaware as her attention was directed toward Jai Yaochuan. She groaned in pain as the demon wrapped its fog around her throat. The demon laughed and questioned whether they were morons and how they could hit something made of fog. Jai Yaochuan wondered if the air was being sucked away and asked Chelsea if she was unaffected by the lack of oxygen. Chelsea explained that it was the beauty of being a demon. They adapt to different environments and are not as fragile as humans. The demon taunted Jai Yaochuan, asking how it felt to be struggling to breathe, and boasted that it was his unique and supreme technique for dealing with humans. Jai Yaochuan dodged each of the demon's attacks and warned that continuing like that would only speed up the oxygen depletion, draining his energy. He noted that they couldn't continue much longer and asked Chelsea if she could hear him. Chelsea scoffed as she stood in front of the demon, commenting that Jai Yaochuan was always bossing the Empress around and that the demon would be hers in a moment. The demon observed that Jai Yaochuan's demon contract had some skills, but lamented that in that fog, he was the strongest. Chelsea continued to fire her crystal shards, and they pierced through the fog. The demon was taken aback when Chelsea's attack reached him and pierced through his hair. While the demon was still surprised that Chelsea had dispersed his fog, Jai Yaochuan suddenly appeared and revealed that he had been hiding there. Jai Yaochuan slashed the demon's head, breaking his mask. The demon screamed and protested that Jai Yaochuan had ruined the mask bestowed upon him by a certain lord. He questioned Jai Yaochuan if he had said the fog would disappear by striking his real body, and threatened that they were all going to die there. Jai Yaochuan replied that it was not necessarily true. He threw Chelsea's chain into the air, commenting that humans aren't as weak and ignorant as the demon thought. He added that the demon shouldn't underestimate them. The demon was surprised when he saw what Jai Yaochuan did, noting that Jai Yaochuan was actually using chains to swirl away the fog. The fog slowly dissipated from the place after Jai Yaochuan swirled it away. Xia Na groaned, surprised that she could breathe again, and wondered what Jai Yaochuan and his contracted demon were truly capable of. Meanwhile, the demon decided to let Jai Yaochuan off for now and remarked that as long as he escaped, he could return to that lord. Suddenly, half of his face was destroyed when Xia Na's dark arrow hit him, followed by a huge explosion in front of the demon. Xia Na declared that she wasn't letting the demon escape this time. Jai Yaochuan was amused when he saw the demon's real form, observing that the demon was a little thing with a unique appearance, while the demon wailed that a great being like him had been beaten into such a state. Jai Yaochuan suggested that Chelsea should eat the demon, but Chelsea declined, saying it was gross and that Jai Yaochuan could absorb the demon's power instead. The demon protested, claiming he was weak and didn't have much much power, but Jai Yaochuan attacked its face, stating that they had talked enough. On the other hand, Xia Na observed Chelsea's chains closely as she pondered about those two. Xia Na revealed that she had meant to ask before, noting that the demon Jai Yaochuan contracted could also take human form. Jai Yaochuan asked her what the question was, but before Xia Na could answer, her phone rang. She explained that it was Mrs. Star message. Jai Yaochuan remarked that it seemed someone in the demon squad also had a humanoid demon contracted, so he needed more detailed intel on the others. As Lu Yao mentioned that she finally got through to Xia Na and advised her to evacuate from Dorn City immediately, Xia Na asked what the anomaly was, but the communication became unstable as Lu Yao stated that the demons were coming, and the call eventually cut off. Suddenly, Joris groaned in pain as he woke up. He questioned Jai Yaochuan and Xia Na about what exactly they and the Exile faction planned to do. Xia Na explained that they were the rescue team sent by the Alliance, and added that if they were with the Exile faction, they would have killed them all on the spot. One of the women called Joris and confirmed that Xia Na was right and they had no other choice. Joris reluctantly agreed, saying they would go with them. But before Joris could finish his sentence, a huge explosion destroyed the walls. Xia Na called out to Joris, and Jai Yaochuan warned her not to approach. Suddenly, a monster began counting in front of Jai Yaochuan and Xia Na. It was the same monster munching from before, and it remarked that it still needed 2 more. The monster remarked that Jai Yaochuan and Xia Na were just perfect. Meanwhile, one of the people being devoured by the monster pleaded and exclaimed no, while another begged to be saved. Another person complained that it hurt so much, and the monster responded that he was too noisy and should shut up. Xia Na inquired if demons don't directly absorb souls and why the people were still conscious, while Jai Yaochuan telepathically communicated with Chelsea and queried if she could smell it. Chelsea noted that the scent of the fog demon still lingered, so she couldn't distinguish it at the moment. Jai Yaochuan suddenly charged forward, and Xia Na called him. The monster menaced as he stood there with its weird tentacles. Jai Yaochuan cut through the monster's tentacles. He moved so quickly that the monster was not able to react, and he jumped above it. Jai Yaochuan summoned Chelsea's chain. He dug it into the monster's head, and blood spurted out of it. The monster screamed in pain, and he repeatedly cried that it hurts. Xia Na called Jai Yaochuan and commented that he just had to go rogue. Jai Yaochuan stated that it was not a demon. While the monster wailed and repeatedly moaned that it hurts, Jai Yaochuan considered that the chains didn't absorb any demonic power. The monster demanded Jai Yaochuan why he was hitting him and bullying him, and as he whimpered that he wanted his mommy, he continued to wail. Jai Yaochuan declared that it wasn't a demon as it was a predator, and when Xia Na got surprised, he observed that things just got interesting. Meanwhile, Lu Yao and Ba Yin were at the outskirts of the city. Ba Yin restrained and killed the predators with his demonic powers. He mentioned that they must have been infected recently. Lu Yao commented that those predators crazily emerged from the city after the fog dissipated, so it seemed that the main purpose of the fog wasn't to stop them from entering Dorn City but to prevent those things from getting out. Sagrism wondered if the fog was actually protecting them. Lu Yao replied that it doesn't seem like it, and as she was about to explain further, she was cut off when Ba Yin added that he can't reconnect with Xia Na and Jai Yaochuan's signal, so he had no idea what was happening to them inside the city. Lu Yao speculated that Dorn City must be harboring a level 5 predator to infect so many within just a few days, and they should just pray that Xia Na and Jai Yaochuan don't meet it. On the other hand, Jai Yaochuan and Xia Na took a step back as the predator attacked them. The predator began crawling on the ground. He announced that he was going to eat Jai Yaochuan. Jai Yaochuan reflected that it was odd because the guy regenerates way faster than a level 4 predator, but its intelligence is nowhere near a level 5 predator. He requested Xia Na if she could pin the predator down, and Xia Na affirmed that she was ready. Xia Na fired her arrow at the predator. The predator was surprised when he saw Xia Na's arrow dissolve and spread out. He wailed and lamented that he got tied up and was uncomfortable. Jai Yaochuan taunted the predator if anyone didn't tell him that pretending to be pitiful demons is disgusting. He swung his scythe and cut the predator open. The predator wailed and cried out that his belly has been cut open so all the yummy stuff will spill out. But he suddenly laughed. The predator mused if pretending didn't work, and it concluded that he guesses he will just eat it then. Jai Yaochuan wondered if the predator was devouring Xia Na's shadow demon and if the predator's intelligence and abilities were growing. The predator laughed and declared that he was hungry, and as he questioned if he could eat Jai Yaochuan, Jai Yaochuan realized that it looked like it was time to go all out. Jai Yaochuan called Chelsea and informed that the predator will be all hers in a moment. He released his skill, and it spread through the entire area. Jai Yaochuan used his skill, True Words Unfold. They were taken into a scene at a hospital. The doctor reported that the patient, due to difficult labor, died of excessive blood loss after giving birth to a male infant. Jai Yaochuan recognized that it was the predator's memory. He concluded that his guess was right because, for someone still growing, mental strength is the predator's biggest weakness. Jia Yaochuan demanded that the predator should let him end his sins. But suddenly, the mother begged Jia Yaochuan. She pleaded that Jia Yaochuan should spare her child, her An. An evil eye demon appeared, and he revealed that the child's name was An. Jia Yaochuan felt that he couldn't move, and as he wondered what was happening and who the evil eye demon was, he queried the Dreamweaver if he shouldn't be inside True Words, while the evil eye demon remarked that An was lucky for having such a loving mother. The evil eye demon declared that he would take An. He released his powerful energy. Jia Yaochuan called for the Dreamweaver in his mind and commanded that it should disengage True Words, but it didn't respond, so he called it again. He was surprised when he was pushed into another setting and crashed against the wall. Jia Yaochuan was surprised that True Words hadn't disengaged, and he tried calling the Dreamweaver again. Suddenly, he noticed the predator in front of him. Jia Yaochuan questioned if it was the predator in its true form. Back in reality, Jia Yaochuan was wrapped in a huge orb of light and was attached to a lump of meat while surrounded by predators. The predators charged forward to attack Jia Yaochuan. Chelsea quickly eliminated those predators with her chains. She groaned and remarked that it tasted terrible. Chelsea turned her attention to the other predators. She suggested that maybe Jia Yaochuan could whip them up into something edible, and perhaps they would taste a bit better then. Suddenly, Xia Na fired her dark arrows. Chelsea was surprised when she saw the dark arrows hit the predator. She clicked her tongue and snapped that Xia Na should mind her own business. Xia Na explained that her shadow said that there was a powerful force rushing their way, and they were likely the city's predators and demons drawn by their fight. She noted that they don't have much time to prepare. Xia Na warned that if Jia Yaochuan doesn't wake up soon, they will all be drained to death there. She mentioned that the predator turned into that tumor after Jia Yaochuan's intrusion, so she wondered what it would morph into next. Chelsea declared that she would check what is happening inside, and she would keep those chains there as a defense line. She added that as for Xia Na, if she survives, she, the Empress, will acknowledge her strength as a partner. Chelsea quickly disappeared in front of Xia Na. Xia Na wondered if she was right that Jia Yaochuan called her Chelsea, and she observed that it seemed that the demon was just as headstrong as her contractor. She called Shadow and inquired if they could hold it there. Xia Na stated that it was just them at the moment, so they can't let those predators through. On the other hand, inside True Words, Jia Yaochuan dodged Predator N's attack. Jia Yaochuan considered that Predator N was too fast, so he couldn't predict his movement, and he wondered where Predator would attack from next. Suddenly, Predator N jumped above Jia Yaochuan. He kicked Jia Yaochuan and sent him crashing on the ground. Jia Yaochuan coughed up blood while Predator N approached him. Predator N uttered that no, he was in his true form, and he commented that his body still doesn't quite understand, so maybe they should try again. Predator N charged towards Jia Yaochuan, but he was taken by surprise when Chelsea's chains pierced him through his sides. Chelsea's chains slammed Predator N against the wall. She taunted that Jia Yaochuan was useless trash and that the Empress had saved his life again. Jia Yaochuan queried Chelsea if he was right that they still needed to fulfill their promises to each other so she couldn't just watch him die. Chelsea scoffed and retorted that Jia Yaochuan should better not forget. Jia Yaochuan realized that it seemed like he could already contact the Dreamweaver, so he questioned the Dreamweaver what exactly happened earlier and why he couldn't disengage the True Words space. The Dreamweaver informed that True Words only draws in those with weaker mental power than Jia Yaochuan. But that mental power consists of two parts, and once the fragile shell was broken, the powerful core began to corrode his True Words space, and Jia Yaochuan noted that it was no wonder it felt so strange to him. The Dreamweaver continued that Predator N's power shell is a mix of many types, but the core is a single pure force. Jia Yaochuan posed the question if the mental shell was made up of the humans that got absorbed and the core was the predator named N. He reflected that an uncontaminated infant is the best cultivation subject, so the creature he encountered in the memory must be a demon, but he wondered why it would cultivate such a pure predator and what the plot was there. Suddenly, dust and debris exploded all over the place when Predator N came back up. Predator N cried that it hurt, and those who hurt him must die. Chelsea protected Jia Yaochuan with her body from Predator N's attack. Jia Yaochuan was astonished with what Chelsea did. Chelsea commanded that Jia Yaochuan should disengage the space. Back in reality, Jia Yaochuan's body was still unconscious. Jia Yaochuan disengaged True Words. The orb of light burst out towards the sky, which surprised Xia Na. Jia Yaochuan released Chelsea's chains and eliminated the predators in the area in an instant. He apologized to Xia Na that he woke up a bit late, and he informed that Chelsea asked him to tell her that she already acknowledged her. Xia Na questioned Jia Yaochuan if that was the case, and she observed that Jia Yaochuan seemed to have grown stronger, and he even feels a bit like her master did back then. Jia Yaochuan noted that all that was left at the moment was that ugly thing. He realized that at the moment of awakening, Dreamweaver absorbed Predator N's mental power, and he never expected the Dreamweaver to not only evolve from that power, but also the injuries he and Chelsea sustained in the True Words space to have healed. Suddenly, the tumor started to open up. Predator and came out of it wailing, and he wailed that it hurts. Jia Yaochuan announced that he would handle Predator and while Xia Na should try to contact Liu Yao and the others, to which Xia Na agreed. A few moments later, Predator and retreated towards a dark alleyway. Predator and believed that all the energy he had accumulated had been absorbed by Jia Yaochuan and he was really going to die, so he must escape at all costs. But the evil eye demon suddenly showed up, and he kicked Predator in the face. Predator and was sent flying by the evil eye demon's kick, and he tumbled and crashed on the ground. The evil eye demon declared that Predator and was a disobedient child, so he got what he deserved. And while addressing the evil eye demon as his daddy, Predator and wailed and protested that he was wrong and he had already devoured 5 million people, so he was very obedient. But the evil eye demon stomped on Predator and squashed him to death. The evil eye demon sighed and muttered that Daddy hates liars the most. He reminded that they agreed on 5 million people. The evil eye demon wondered if they weren't 2 people short. He suddenly noted that since Chelsea was there, he suggested that he say hello. The evil eye demon commented that it has been a long time since he saw Chelsea. Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea stood face to face with the evil eye demon. He considered that what he saw in the Predator's memory before was that guy. Jia Yaochuan inquired of Chelsea if the Scourge of Dorn City is an old acquaintance of hers, and Chelsea replied that only the powerful are revered, so she doesn't acknowledge such a despicable evil eye demon. The evil eye demon queried Chelsea if she called him despicable, and he remarked that it truly hurts his heart because she knows that his methods don't even compare to 1 or 1,000th of hers. An image of people questioning Chelsea why, and they stated that it was her who killed them and the agony was all Chelsea's fault. The evil eye demon declared that Jia Yaochuan should listen to their wails because becoming Chelsea's ally only leads to perpetual damnation. He urged that Jia Yaochuan should come to him and let him save him. But Jia Yaochuan just snorted. Jia Yaochuan wondered if the evil eye demon's performance was way over the top and commented that it seemed that every demon that knows Chelsea wanted her dead, so her popularity in hell must be off the charts. Chelsea retorted that Jia Yaochuan should shut up, and the evil eye demon demanded of them if the 2 of them intended to ignore him just like what the bad kid did. The evil eye demon threatened that he would kill Jia Yaochuan. He grabbed Jia Yaochuan's head and slammed his face onto the ground. The evil eye demon sneered that Jia Yaochuan was a foolish human and that he could have died without pain. But to his surprise, Jia Yaochuan disappeared, and his fingers were tied by Jia Yaochuan's golden strings. Jia Yaochuan advised that since the evil eye demon looked down on humans, he suggested that he just leave that place. He cursed and snarled that the evil eye demon should go back to hell. The evil eye demon's body that was cut in half slowly disintegrated into butterflies. His body got reconstructed by those same butterflies. The evil eye demon mused that he guessed he would join in the fun and used his evil eye's demonic codex. He released powerful auras from the evil eye's demonic codex and directed them at Jia Yaochuan. Jia Yaochuan used his Dreamweaver skill to block the evil eye demon's attack. He clicked his tongue and grumbled that it was another annoying guy. Jia Yaochuan complained that he doesn't have time to entertain so many. He swung Chelsea's scythe to shatter the evil eye demon's attack and charged forward. The evil eye demon observed that it was no surprise that Jia Yaochuan was a follower of Chelsea. He released a dark aura to shield himself from Jia Yaochuan's attack. The evil eye demon taunted that Jia Yaochuan was just as annoying as Chelsea. Jia Yaochuan was surprised when he saw that the evil eye demon created explosives out of thin air. A huge explosion occurred and it sent Jia Yaochuan flying. Jia Yaochuan crashed against the wall and was in pain. The evil eye demon boasted that it was no challenge at all. He insisted that Jia Yaochuan should let him be the one to end him. But Chelsea suddenly appeared, and she proclaimed that the evil eye demon shouldn't dare to judge her kin. She protected Jia Yaochuan from the evil eye demon's attack. The evil eye demon clicked his tongue and sighed that it was a bummer. Liu Yao and Ba Yin arrived, and Liu Yao announced that they would take it from there. The evil eye demon wondered if they tried to corner him. Sagrism addressed Jia Yaochuan as a rookie and stated that his savior has arrived, so he should make sure that he is overwhelmingly thankful. The evil eye demon suddenly released a dark powder from his evil eye's demonic codex. Yuzuru warned that they should watch out for the powder. Sagrism was surprised when he got frozen in the air. Everyone was alarmed that they couldn't move. Liu Yao realized that the evil eye demon was too strong, so she must get everyone out. The evil eye demon noted that time was almost up and it was a rare full moon that night. He added that he would see them around then. The evil eye demon's body dissipated and turned into butterflies, and he created a dramatic exit with an explosion. Suddenly, Liu Yao coughed up blood. Ba Yin questioned Liu Yao what happened to her, and Liu Yao replied that she intended to use spatial abilities to forcibly evacuate everyone. But that momentary freeze was irresistible. Jia Yaochuan noted that the evil eye demon never intended to kill them, and he surmised that from the moment they fought, the guy never showed a hint of murderous intent, which was not a good sign. Yuzuru suddenly called Jia Yaochuan and informed that his demon was acting strange. Chelsea demanded that they have to kill the evil eye demon, and they must kill him no matter what. Chelsea wreaked havoc in the city with her chains. Jia Yaochuan remarked that something was off. He stated that the evil eye demon must have done something to Chelsea, and Lu Yao inquired where his bond of contract was and suggested that he should use it to calm Chelsea down. Jia Yaochuan queried Lu Yao what the bond of contract was. He explained that Sagrism has gone after Chelsea and he was definitely going to attack her, so he doesn't have time for that. Ba Yin noted that Jia Yaochuan doesn't know about the bond of contract, so things are going to be troublesome. On the other hand, Chelsea demanded where the bastard was and where the hell he was because she was going to kill him. Sagrism called Chelsea a crazy woman and interrogated her if he knew that she had to pay for public damage. Chelsea gave Sagrism a piercing glare. She ordered that Sagrism should get lost. Sagrism was sent flying and crashed, which made Gyuzura worry. Gyuzura questioned Chelsea for daring to hurt his big brother. He launched dark shards and directed them towards Chelsea. Jia Yaochuan suddenly arrived. He used his Dreamweaver skill to block Gyuzura's attack. Gyuzura demanded of Jia Yaochuan if he was still going to protect Chelsea after she had gone mad like that. Jia Yaochuan retorted that what happened to his demon wasn't up to their judgment. But Chelsea declared that Jia Yaochuan should get out of the way. Jia Yaochuan quickly turned towards Chelsea and blocked her attack with his Dreamweaver skill. He urged that Chelsea should come to her senses. But Chelsea snapped that Jia Yaochuan shouldn't order her around. She swung her arms and broke Jia Yaochuan's shield. Jia Yaochuan was pushed back, and he groaned in pain as his body skidded on the concrete. He realized that he couldn't suppress Chelsea's mental power anymore, and he wondered how her power had increased by so much. Xia Na observed that Jia Yaochuan's demon has gone out of control and he alone can't control her, but Jia Yaochuan countered that Xia Na should get out of there if she was scared. Jia Yaochuan asserted that they were bound by the power of cosmic rules, so at worst, he could exhaust Chelsea until she can't fight, and she is his demon, so he will make sure that she wakes up. He used his skill, True Words Unfold. Jia Yaochuan's skill was about to devour Chelsea's python, but Chelsea proclaimed that anyone who stands in her way shall die. Xia Na warned that it was too dangerous and they needed to get Sagrism out of there. Lu Yao appeared and informed that she had already taken Sagrism to Ba Yin. She announced that she would transfer them all because everyone was at their limit, and continuing like that will only hurt both of them, while in her mind, she wondered what kind of power Jia Yaochuan has really gained. Back into the fight, Chelsea demanded that Jia Yaochuan should get out of her way. Jia Yaochuan tried to call Chelsea. He pleaded that she should wake up. Jia Yaochuan's True Words skill grew huge and devoured Chelsea's python. A huge dark orb suddenly appeared and enclosed both Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea inside. A few moments later, inside True Words, a young Chelsea ran. Chelsea looked terrified, and she ran away with all her might. She wondered why it was happening to her. Chelsea believed that she couldn't escape. Suddenly, the huge demon statue swung its axe and decapitated Chelsea. Chelsea's head fell so far away from her body, and her tears were still falling out of her eyes. Her eyes were devoid of life when her head landed on the ground. But in an instant, Chelsea's eyes regained their color. Chelsea was surprised when she realized that her head and body were attached. She exclaimed that it was great that she was still alive. But her blood was spilled once again as the demon statue attacked her. The evil eye demon muttered that it was wonderful. He declared that Chelsea should come back to life again, and may her next resurrection bring them a stronger power. Chelsea once again woke up, and she reflected that the cycle began again. The other demons were calling Chelsea their dear Lord Demon King and demanded that she should give them blood and power. Suddenly, the evil eye demon commented that Chelsea was a poor thing. He queried Chelsea if she was chosen as the sacrifice. The evil eye demon proclaimed that Chelsea's whole existence was to provide them with an endless supply of blood, so he questioned if he was right that at that time, the blood must be even better. Chelsea contemplated the endless deaths and repeated agony. She felt that she just wanted to end it all. The demon statue swung his axe at Chelsea once more, but Jia Yaochuan suddenly appeared, and he blocked the demon statue's attack with his Dreamweaver skill. Jia Yaochuan noted that he was lucky that he wasn't late and that Chelsea was really in a sorry state. The evil eye demon was back in his castle. He declared that Chelsea's fate has been rewritten, and it was a shame. But the evil eye demon stated that next time, Chelsea won't be so lucky. The evil eye demon considered that to summon a demon of that rank, millions of souls were needed. He mentioned that Mordek in the coffin should wake up. The coffin slowly opened. Mordek was the demon rank number 9, and the evil eye demon remarked that the master needs Mordek's help. Mordek woke up. On the other hand, Jia Yaochuan was still inside True Words, protected Chelsea. Chelsea inquired of Jia Yaochuan who he was and if he wanted to kill her too. Jia Yaochuan was surprised when he heard what Chelsea uttered. He remembered his younger self in that situation. Jia Yaochuan recalled how his younger self expressed those same words Chelsea voiced. He replied no and that they were allies. Jia Yaochuan's Dreamweaver started to crack. He clicked his tongue as he dodged the demon statue's swinging axe. Jia Yaochuan warned that if Chelsea don't wake up soon, they will really be in trouble. He attacked the demon statue and cut it in half. Jia Yaochuan beseeched Chelsea if she couldn't hear him, and he urged that she should hurry and wake up. He used his skill, Dreamweaver Mind Invasion. Chelsea responded that it doesn't matter if they were allies because she just wanted to end all of that. Jia Yaochuan was surprised when he heard what Chelsea expressed. Suddenly, another demon statue proclaimed that their Lord Demon must be reborn continuously. It announced that those who disturb the ritual must die. The demon statue swung its axe and destroyed the platform Chelsea was on. A few moments later, dust and debris began to settle down. Jia Yaochuan groaned in pain while he had Chelsea in his arms. He observed that it has been a while since he has been hurt that badly in true words. Jia Yaochuan noted that Chelsea owed him big at that time. Chelsea queried Jia Yaochuan why he would save her, and she believed that she should be dead and all of them should be celebrating. She admitted that she was the source of all evil. Jia Yaochuan insisted that Chelsea should snap out of it because if she keeps getting immersed in that any longer, they will both be in danger. He advised that Chelsea shouldn't stay in that world anymore. Chelsea finally snapped out of it. She released her powerful energy. Chelsea demanded of Jia Yaochuan what nonsense he was spouting. She proclaimed that she was the Empress and the mightiest demon, so she surely won't be trapped by such low-level illusions. Meanwhile, back in the city, Jia Yaochuan's true words was still in effect. Sagrism expressed his pain and remarked that Xiana should go easy on him, but Yuzura suggested that he should just endure a little longer. On the other hand, Lu Yao observed that she could feel the mental power waves around them even just standing there. So an S-grade Esper like Jia Yaochuan really is powerful, and she considered that having such extraordinary talent, Jia Yaochuan might even reach SSS grade. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea landed in front of them. Jia Yaochuan wondered to Chelsea if he didn't say to come over to him, and Chelsea scoffed and retorted that she was not going to dawdle like a human, and she did him a favor by bringing him there, yet he didn't even thank her. Chelsea gently grabbed Jia Yaochuan's hand. She pulled him close and kissed him, which surprised both Lu Yao and Ba Yin. Chelsea inquired of Ba Yin what he was staring at and mentioned that it was the highest courtesy among them demons, and Ba Yin admitted that he had never seen it before. Lu Yao indicated that it was fine, but it was not the time to relax because their headquarters has sent new intel. She revealed that the demon they encountered wasn't a ranked demon, and it has been lurking on Earth since before the Red Rain calamity, and its appearance in Dorn City wasn't a coincidence, and it definitely has some motive. Ba Yin noted that the evil eye demon let that predator constantly devour humans in the city, and he questioned what he was trying to achieve by sacrificing so many souls. Chelsea stated that it was resurrection. She explained that in order to resurrect a powerful demon, a massive toll of souls is required, and the evil eye demon was likely using those souls to revive other demons. Xia Na reported that the predator claimed to have eaten over 4 million people, so if that was true, what the evil eye demon was trying to resurrect might be tough to handle, and when Yuzura heard that it was over 4 million, he commented that it really could eat a lot. Ba Yin cautioned that, however, Jia Yaochuan hasn't yet mastered the bond of contract, so if they encounter the evil eye demon again, his teammates might turn against him first, and Jia Yaochuan probed Ba Yin on what exactly the bond of contract is. Lu Yao acknowledged that Ba Yin expressed it well, so she has decided to split the team into 2 groups and she will take Xiana and the others to deal with the aftermath in Dorn City. She suggested that as for Ba Yin, he should take Jia Yaochuan to learn about the bond of contract from Teacher Han Yu, and Ba Yin was stunned when he heard about Teacher Han Yu. 3 days later, in the slum district of Santenberg City, Jia Yaochuan wondered if Santenberg City wasn't the human capital and why there was such a place, to which Ba Yin answered and explained that it was because not everyone has the means to live in the inner parts. Ba Yin described that the tech tree in Santenberg City forms 3 protective shields with the civilian district on the outermost layer, and people living there are called alarm bells, and Chelsea mused why they were called that. Jia Yaochuan explained that it was because if Santenberg City is attacked, the people in the civilian district could not only warn others but also buy time. So those high up like to call the civilians alarm bells, which made Chelsea click her tongue repeatedly, and she remarked that they, the humans, are no different from demons. Chelsea pondered if that meant that they were going to learn the bond of contract from an alarm bell, and Ba Yin clarified that Teacher Han Yu is no alarm bell, he just doesn't agree with the practices of those inside. Ba Yin announced that they had arrived. He indicated that Teacher Han Yu lives there. Suddenly, the door opened slightly. Ba Yin panicked when he saw that. He warned that Jia Yaochuan should be quick because the teacher urged him inside and if he was late, he would be in trouble, which puzzled Chelsea, and she demanded of him what nonsense he talked about. Jia Yaochuan was surprised when huge tentacles suddenly grabbed him. He got dragged inside quickly and left one of his shoes outside. Ba Yin let out a sigh of relief. He muttered that it was a good thing that the teacher's target was only Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea. But Ba Yin was stunned and got nervous when he felt the tentacles around him. Ba Yin screamed and pleaded that the teacher shouldn't and that he should at least take Jia Yaochuan's shoes too. Lu Yao and Xia Na were at the Dorn City crude stone mine. Xia Na remarked that the unapproved crude stone mine has been utilizing prisoners from Dorn City as labor without the Alliance's authorization, and it seemed that the covert operation has been going on for a long time. And as Liu Yao inquired about the supervisors from the prison, Xia Na stated that they have all been rescued. Liu Yao pondered that it wasn't just about illegal mining for profit, and there seems to be a traitor within the Alliance. She mentioned that Xia Na should ensure that the supervisors are protected because there might be some crucial witnesses, and Xia Na responded that she understood. Liu Yao noted that Xia Na should compile all the information they have so far because they need to report it to the president. Meanwhile, Ba Yin was at Han Yu's house. He voiced if she could not use those dirty tricks next time they sparred. But Mei Mei added that she wasn't even trying hard. Mei Mei commented that besides, her grandpa declared that in a battle, one must target the opponent's weakness, and men's weaknesses are just a lot. But Ba Yin pointed out that such a cute girl shouldn't be learning from that weird geezer. Han Yu observed that Ba Yin was a little brat, and as he interrogated him for daring to insult him, he retorted that it looked like someone was itching for a spanking. But Ba Yin insisted that Han Yu better not get distracted because Jai Yaochuan and his demon aren't so easy to handle. Han Yu just scoffed in response. He considered that Ba Yin was getting stronger by the day, and before long, he might surpass him. Han Yu explained that as for Jai Yaochuan, he heard that he is an S-class psychic, so he hoped he and his demon could hold out for a while. He conveyed that it will make his boring life a bit more entertaining. On the other hand, at the Maze of Souls, Jai Yaochuan believed that it was a special space where abilities can't be used, so it was like cheating, while Chelsea uttered what was ahead and why he stopped moving. Jai Yaochuan revealed that the box has appeared again. The box has a note that says that they should go ahead and open it. Half an hour ago, Jai Yaochuan and Chelsea saw a sign Han Yu left that indicated that he is waiting for them deep inside the maze, and the maze is filled with surprise boxes he has prepared to help them clear it faster. Chelsea lamented that it was frustrating, and Jai Yaochuan advised that they should take it one step at a time. The two of them started walking inside the maze. Chelsea called Jai Yaochuan. She muttered if it was one of the surprise boxes mentioned in the entrance sign. The box has a note on it that says that they should remember to open it. Chelsea expressed that the surprise box looked ordinary, but Jai Yaochuan cautioned that she should wait. Chelsea pressed if he was scared, and as Jai Yaochuan replied what they would do if it was a trap, Chelsea affirmed that it didn't matter if it was a trap because if he keeps being so cautious, they will never get out. She queried if what was inside was a card. A card with a symbol of an eye was indeed inside the box. Chelsea groaned in pain, and Jai Yaochuan got worried for her. She indicated that it was her eyes, and she couldn't see while a clown doll laughed in front of her. The smiling clown doll proclaimed that they were the box opening sprites and congratulated them on opening a debuff box, while the frowning clown doll asserted that there are 20 boxes hidden in the maze, 15 of which are debuff boxes. The smiling clown doll relayed that the first to collect 10 debuff cards gets to stay there with them forever. The frowning clown doll specified that if they find the only key in the boxes, they could clear the maze and leave them behind. The smiling clown doll repeatedly urged that they should stay, while the frowning clown doll repeatedly demanded that they should leave them. Chelsea wondered what they should do at the moment, and Jai Yaochuan proposed that they should open the boxes, but Chelsea should go do it. Chelsea demanded what he meant and if he wanted to weaken her, and Jai Yaochuan clarified that what he meant was they still don't know what dangers lie ahead. Jai Yaochuan asserted that since Chelsea have been hit already, at least they need to ensure one of them retains full fighting strength. He continued that within the allowed range, the best outcome would be finding the key. If not, the next person will open the remaining ones, minimizing risks, and if their roles were reversed, he would make the same choice. Chelsea conceded fine. She emphasized that no matter what happens, Jai Yaochuan has to ensure her safety. Jai Yaochuan professed that Chelsea should be rest assured. A few moments later, Chelsea cursed as she opened 4 debuff boxes consecutively. She continued to curse as she opened another 4 debuff boxes. Chelsea spat that Han Yu was a despicable human and grilled him for daring to toy with her like that. She claimed that every box there is a debuff, and Han Yu never intended to let them out, while Jai Yaochuan was thinking that she had already opened 9 debuff boxes, so he couldn't let her open the next one. Jai Yaochuan slowly opened the surprise box. A dagger and a letter were inside the box. Jai Yaochuan intently looked at the letter. The letter says that within the Maze of Souls, where abilities and contracts fail, his demon could kill him at any moment if she wants to, so the dagger will keep him safe. Chelsea wondered why he wasn't speaking and what he found, and Jai Yaochuan answered that it was a dagger. When Chelsea heard that it was a dagger, she commented that sure enough, Han Yu was toying with her, so they should keep moving because maybe there was another box ahead and that they should hurry and find the key so they could leave that place. A few moments later, Jai Yaochuan stopped walking again. Chelsea inquired why he had stopped and if it was a box, to which Jai Yaochuan confirmed. Jai Yaochuan slowly opened the box. A cloak, a key, and a note were inside. The note congratulated Jai Yaochuan on finding the key and indicated that he shouldn't forget to take the fog cloak and roam freely as a frog and leave those who drag him down behind. And he should remember that there is only one winner, so Jai Yaochuan should wear the cloak with the key and not tell his partner, so he will be the ultimate victor. Chelsea implored what was in the box and if it was a debuff that prevented him from speaking. Jai Yaochuan remained silent for a moment. He reported that it was the key and they had found it. Chelsea mused if it was that quick and recommended that they should get out of that damned place fast. The two clown dolls reappeared in the air. The smiling clown doll congratulated them on finding the key and successfully clearing the maze, while the frowning clown doll concluded that they had been doomed. The smiling clown broadcast that the game of truth or dare would begin next. Jai Yaochuan and Chelsea were both stunned when they heard what the smiling clown doll imparted. Meanwhile, Han Yu was amused, and he quipped that the show was finally starting. The smiling clown doll stated that they should draw some cards, and as long as they all answer the questions honestly, he will remove the debuffs. He remarked that if they lie, something terrible will happen. Chelsea declared that it was a shame because there is nothing she is hiding about herself, so they should quickly ask their question and restore her vision, and the smiling clown doll responded all right. The smiling clown doll commented if she wanted to take Jai Yaochuan's body. Chelsea voiced that she did before, but now he is her kind, and naturally she will protect him. The smiling clown doll observed that it was such genuine affection and was touching, but Chelsea insisted that he should cut the chatter and quickly remove the debuffs from her. The smiling clown doll noted that Chelsea shouldn't be impatient because her partner hasn't answered his question yet, and Jai Yaochuan replied that he gets it, so they should finish the card drawing quickly. The smiling clown doll mentioned that the question was coming. He expressed if he lied to his partner after entering the maze. Jai Yaochuan explained that according to the principle of conversation, he didn't lie. The smiling clown doll wondered what the principle of conversation was, while Chelsea inquired if it was a human law. Jai Yaochuan commented that they should let him give them an example. He added that if he has 7 candies in his hand and Chelsea asks him how many he has, saying 1 or 2 would both be correct. He clarified that it was what they call the principle of conversation, and keeping some things to himself isn't exactly lying. The smiling clown doll observed that Jai Yaochuan was cunning indeed and that it was a pity, but he pointed out that they are each other's judges after all. Chelsea supposed that she could already see, and the smiling clown doll remarked that her partner has quite a few tricks up his sleeve and his little secrets are the items he concealed from her while she was blinded. He added if she gives Jai Yaochuan a pass. Chelsea read the notes about the contract failing and the fog cloak, and Jai Yaochuan believed that it was because of her single-minded nature that he didn't want to say it. Jai Yaochuan explained that Chelsea couldn't see at that time, and she was plagued by debuffs, and as he was about to explain what he concluded would happen if she knew that the contract had failed, Chelsea cut him off and declared that there was no need to say more because their priority is to get out. Chelsea asserted she has judged that Jai Yaochuan didn't lie, so they should clear that level, and the smiling clown doll confirmed that she is a lady of remarkable grace, so he is happy to assist. The smiling clown doll indicated that Chelsea should let him remove the debuffs from her first. Chelsea observed her body as she felt the debuffs getting removed from her. The smiling clown doll congratulated Jai Yaochuan and Chelsea for clearing the level. The cards the smiling clown doll threw in the air started raining down on Jai Yaochuan and Chelsea. The smiling clown doll remarked that there is only one true door of life there, and as for which one it is, that will depend on Jai Yaochuan and Chelsea's wisdom. Chelsea noted that she couldn't sense anything, and Jai Yaochuan responded that those doors all look the same from the outside, so perhaps the real danger lies within one of them. Chelsea pointed out that they should each pick a door and may the best person win, while Jai Yaochuan explained that she should hold on. But before Jai Yaochuan could reason with Chelsea, she had already entered the door. Jai Yaochuan considered that Han Yu was impressive indeed because he is defeating someone without even needing force. He surmised that they fell into the trap as early as the first level, and the designer calculated that he would conceal things to avoid trouble, and that is exactly what became Chelsea's minefield. Jai Yaochuan remarked that they really don't understand each other as partners. On the other hand, a voice talked to Chelsea and stated that he had mentioned it before, that the only one she could trust was herself. The voice pointed out that lying meant that Jai Yaochuan doesn't trust Chelsea, but on the other hand, she does really trust him, but no one could understand her. No one knows who she really is. She is just a terrifying demon, a demon exploited by other demons. But Chelsea insisted that the voice should cut the chatter, just scram, and not disturb her progress. Jai Yaochuan's golden strings came at Chelsea from behind. Chelsea demanded that he should get lost, but she was taken aback when she recognized that it was Jai Yaochuan's skill. Jai Yaochuan's true words skill appeared. Chelsea swung her weapon and effortlessly cut Jai Yaochuan's true words in half. She observed that it was the same ability again. Chelsea noted that the designer of the test really knows how to make her angry. Jai Yaochuan's clone hinted that Chelsea shouldn't be so impatient. He suggested that maybe Jai Yaochuan is thinking the same way at that moment. On the other side, Chelsea's clone welcomed Jai Yaochuan. Meanwhile, Jai Yaochuan's clone affirmed that Chelsea is his soulmate. Meanwhile, Liu Yao was back at the Santenberg Alliance HQ, meeting the president, Liu Bingshan. She declared that they owe the successful resolution of the Dorn City crisis to the newbie of the Demon Squad, Jai Yaochuan, so she hopes to officially have him join Heaven's Wrath. Liu Bingshan was intrigued by Jai Yaochuan's files. He remarked that the kid has done quite a lot behind the scenes under the guise of the Esper Management Center, and he stated if they could really trust Jai Yaochuan. Liu Yao mentioned that their interests align for the time being and Jai Yaochuan is not stupid enough to throw away a mutually beneficial partnership for some petty gain, and if they use Jai Yaochuan right, she is sure that he will become their sharpest weapon. Liu Bingshan uttered that if that was the case, he would ask about Jai Yaochuan's demon that went out of control back in Dorn City, to which Liu Yao answered and responded that she had arranged for Jai Yaochuan to train with Han Yu. Liu Yao commented that mastering the bond of contract will prevent such incidents. Jai Yaochuan smiled when he heard what Liu Yao observed. He noted that it was something to look forward to. On the other hand, Jai Yaochuan reasoned that in order to beat the stage, he had to defeat a replica of Chelsea while his powers were suppressed, and all he got were the items he snagged from the maze, so the whole thing was indeed a setup. Jai Yaochuan assumed that it was time to gamble everything on the fog cloak and the cursed dagger. Chelsea's clone attacked the concrete where Jai Yaochuan was hiding. She indicated that she found Jai Yaochuan. Jai Yaochuan coughed up blood when he got hit by the chains of Chelsea's clone. He quickly grabbed the fog cloak and activated it. Chelsea's clone demanded if he was trying to run away, but Jai Yaochuan voiced clone who insisted anything about running away. Chelsea's clone groaned in pain as Jai Yaochuan stabbed her from behind. Jai Yaochuan recounted that just as he planned, Chelsea's clone surmised that he was at his limit, but little did he know that it was what he had been waiting for, so he won. He was surprised when a tear in space appeared behind him. Chelsea affirmed that she believed she would be scraping Jai Yaochuan off the floor, and she never imagined that he would actually take down the replica. Jai Yaochuan explained that he guessed he was just lucky, but he added if Chelsea, on the other hand, shouldn't treat her wounds. Chelsea conveyed that Jai Yaochuan should cut the crap because he is not much better off. She stared intently at Jai Yaochuan. Chelsea recalled how she fought with Jai Yaochuan's clone. She concluded that it took her forever to find an opening, as Jai Yaochuan is way too cautious. The room started to crumble. Both Chelsea and Jai Yaochuan were alarmed when they felt the ground tremble and rocks started to fall down. Chelsea revealed that the space is collapsing. Han Yu appeared, and he proclaimed that the two little troublemakers sure know how to cause chaos. He testified that they trashed their lovely soul space so badly that even the soul demon couldn't hold it together. Han Yu released his energy to fix the space. When Jai Yaochuan saw that the collapsing had stopped, he wondered if the old man was Han Yu, while Han Yu congratulated them on conquering the soul maze. Han Yu relayed in Chelsea if they had discovered the first requirement for forging their contract bonds. Jai Yaochuan asserted that the first requirement was trust in each other. At the same time, Chelsea also repeated the same thing as Jai Yaochuan. Han Yu confirmed that it was precisely correct, so it seemed that they could move on to the next stage. He posited that Jai Yaochuan's and Chelsea's contract bonds will be formed if they survive 10 minutes immersed in that maelstrom of demonic energy, and he inquired if they were ready to give it a go. Jai Yaochuan excitedly agreed and contended that it was what they came there for. Han Yu concluded alright and that they should see what the two of them were made of. He immersed Jai Yaochuan and Chelsea in the maelstrom of demonic energy. Han Yu disclosed that it looked like it was waiting time again. But to his surprise, Chelsea was immediately thrown out of the maelstrom of demonic energy. Han Yu questioned if they have failed already. He supposed that, of course, they did. Han Yu reckoned that he put those two together with all their combined ulterior motives, so it was not like they would ever truly trust each other. He sighed and expressed his disappointment at the kids those days. Han Yu professed that it was time for the old man to teach them a lesson. Jai Yaochuan smiled evilly, and he exuded a dark aura. Han Yu mused that it was such an intense mental energy. He wondered if the brat Jai Yaochuan really absorbed all of his demon's demonic energy. Han Yu was surprised when he noticed that Jai Yaochuan started charging towards him at an incredible speed. He met Jai Yaochuan's fist with the palm of his hand. Han Yu remarked Jai Yaochuan should know that sneaking up on an old man isn't very polite. As Jai Yaochuan got pushed back by Han Yu's punch, he summoned Chelsea's scythe behind him. He dug into the floor and released huge ice shards that were directed towards Han Yu. But Han Yu was unfazed, and he started gathering his energy. He used his skill, Primordial Chaos 12 Forms. Han Yu declared that he didn't know if he should call Jai Yaochuan a genius or a monster and that it was time for the old man to stretch his legs a bit. On the other hand, Ba Yin noted that they have yet to receive any word from Han Yu. He suggested for Mei Mei to do a divination for Jai Yaochuan, And Mei Mei replied sure. Mei Mei released fortune sticks and they floated around her. She started reading one and commented that through swimming in a serene blue pond, the fish is oblivious to the net closing in on all sides. Bai Yin observed that it was a terrible draw, so it looked like Han Yu was going to give Jia Yaochuan a real lesson. But Mei Mei added that maybe Han Yu had been gone that long because the newbie was tougher than they thought. Bai Yin mentioned that either way, the soul maze was just an appetizer because Han Yu's true power, the bone-crushing martial art of his, was the real terrifying thing. Meanwhile, Han Yu has gathered his energy at the palm of his hand. He uttered that being so impatient in his game will only cost Jia Yaochuan dearly. Jia Yaochuan groaned in pain, and he gritted his teeth. Chelsea's chains emerged from the ground and they all came at Han Yu. Han Yu murmured that it was not bad, but it was still not enough. Jia Yaochuan was surprised when Han Yu grabbed onto his shoulder. Han Yu stated that Jia Yaochuan was just a greenhorn. A magic array appeared underneath Jia Yaochuan's feet. Jia Yaochuan groaned in pain as he nervously looked at the magic array. He screamed in pain as the magic array released its energy. Han Yu again expressed his disappointment at the kids of those days. He sympathized with Jia Yaochuan as he glanced at him. Han Yu conveyed that it looked like he would have to teach Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea another time. He explained that it was a new one because they were distrustful, yet they are still bound as demons and contractors, so he was afraid that the bond of contract probably won't hold. On the other hand, the Evil Eye Demon was back in hell. The Evil Eye Demon's master acknowledged that Mordek's power hasn't fully recovered, and as she mentioned if there were not enough sacrifices, the Evil Eye Demon admitted that it was his fault, so he would request his master to punish him. The master noted that the Evil Eye Demon has served her for millennia. She relayed that she heard the Evil Eye Demon saw Chelsea, and as she stated to tell her how Chelsea was, the Evil Eye Demon reported that Chelsea has formed a contract with a weak human and her power is a tenth of what it once was. The master was amused, and he inquired if it was real. She stated that she would overlook the Evil Eye Demon's failure in Dorn City, but he should not disappoint her again at that time. And the Evil Eye Demon thanked his master for sparing him. The master directed that the Evil Eye Demon should have Mordek come see her because it was time to progress to the next stage of their plan, and the Evil Eye Demon responded yes. She called Chelsea's name. The master remarked that she can't wait to see the look on Chelsea's face when they meet again. A few days later, Jia Yaochuan was back at Heaven's Wrath base. Bai Yin messaged Jia Yaochuan and remarked that he forgot to tell him that he will be cursed with an unlucky debuff after visiting Han Yu's soul space, so he should be careful out there. Jia Yaochuan mused that after a whole 3 days, Bai Yin was just telling him that, so he wondered if Bai Yin totally did that on purpose. 3 days earlier, Jia Yaochuan reflected that, as he suspected, the underground demon research lab was naturally protected by top-level security, so it looked like he would need a new plan to figure out the connection between Heaven's Wrath and the Blaze organization. Chelsea showed up and stated that there was not a snowball's chance in hell that the little punk Guzera stood a chance against her, but the other ice cream she was carrying was sent flying in the air. Chelsea commented that it was her Super Snowcap Mountain strawberry ice cream. Jia Yaochuan queried if she planned it. The last scoop of ice cream comedically fell onto Jia Yaochuan's head, and there was a moment of silence. Chelsea noted how she could do that as she tried to stifle her laugh. She cleared her throat and mentioned that Jia Yaochuan should let her clean that up for him. Chelsea observed that it was strange because she was clearly casting a water spell and Jia Yaochuan inquired if she was totally doing that on purpose. She declared that it turned back into a water spell, but Chelsea suggested if she should warm it up for him, and Jia Yaochuan just cursed at her. A few moments later, Jia Yaochuan was sneezing as he walked towards the bath. Jia Yaochuan expressed that it was cold and that maybe a bath will help. He entered the bath and muttered that it was bad luck. Unbeknownst to Jia Yaochuan, both doors were for the female's bath, as the men's bath was on the other side. A few moments later, Xia Na inquired why she was there for a bath so late, and Lu Yao stated that there had been so much going on lately, so she just needed to relax, and besides, if there were a lot of people, Xia Na would get shy. The two of them entered the bath. Lu Yao remarked that it felt amazing, as the hot spring there is really something. To which Xia Na agreed and noted that they should bring Bai Yin and the others the next day because everyone could use a break, as they have been working so hard. Xia Na commented that she was wondering if Jia Yaochuan and his demon will pass Han Yu's next exam. Lu Yao asked if she was worried about Jia Yaochuan, but Xia Na remarked that it was not like that. She added she was just concerned that Jia Yaochuan might slow everyone down in a fight later. Xia Na was startled when something moved in the water. Lu Yao asked what was that over there and Xia Na replied she was worried that it was one of those unclean things because she read that sometimes they lurk in the water. Xia Na suggested that maybe they should just go back. But Lu Yao insisted that Xia Na shouldn't worry because it was probably just a towel or something. Jia Yaochuan emerged from the water and both Lu Yao and Xia Na screamed at the top of their lungs. Jia Yaochuan groaned as he complained that his time underwater was way worse than before. He was horrified when he saw Lu Yao and Xia Na. Jia Yaochuan immediately inquired if they would care to hear his explanation first. But before Jia Yaochuan could explain, Lu Yao and Xia Na yelled and exclaimed that he was a pervert. Back in the present, Jia Yaochuan was lounging on the rooftop of Heaven's Wrath base. He recalled the time when Lu Yao asked if he wasn't working in the archives and declared that he should consider it his new assignment, so he should get to work and not even think about coming out until it was done. Jia Yaochuan considered that it took him 2 whole days to sort through all that, as Heaven's Wrath's files are 10 times more convoluted than the Esper management centers. But he pondered that he never expected that his hand would come across some interesting stuff. Jia Yaochuan surmised that some of the underground lab's equipment was bought from Rose City, and the Dean is hiding in the Shadowless Church. So it seems that Rose City and Blaze are closely linked. But he figured that it was a problem for another time. Han Yu was surprised when Jia Yaochuan was able to dodge his sneak attack without even looking at him. He wondered if Jia Yaochuan was copying his void step. Han Yu pointed out that it looked like he had been exposed for a while. Jia Yaochuan responded that Dreamweaver never forgets an Asper's energy signature, and he has been waiting for Han Yu since the moment he stepped foot in the city. Han Yu claimed that Jia Yaochuan was a sneaky little kid, and he was nothing like his parents. Jia Yaochuan inquired if he knew his parents. Han Yu explained that he will tell Jia Yaochuan when he masters the bond of contract, but for the time being, he should summon his demon because someone is waiting for the 2 of them in Training Room B2. On the other hand, Sagrism was waiting in Training Room B2 with Bella. Bella remarked that a gentleman never keeps a lady waiting, so tardy men are the absolute worst, but Sagrism insisted that Bella shouldn't rush. Sagrism called Bella and mentioned that he could already sense Jia Yaochuan's presence. He greeted Jia Yaochuan when he entered the room. Sagrism observed that Jia Yaochuan finally appeared after being mentioned. He proposed that he and Jia Yaochuan should settle things. Jia Yaochuan glared at Sagrism and prepared himself to fight. Jia Yaochuan threw his chains at Sagrism. Sagrism clicked his tongue as the chain grazed his cheek. He laughed and mocked if that was all Jia Yaochuan got and if he was fighting on an empty stomach or something, while Jia Yaochuan considered that even if Sagrism was injured and even if it was a vital spot, the wounds healed instantly, and he wondered if it was the power of the Undying Demon. Jia Yaochuan blocked Sagrism's attack. Chelsea suddenly called Jia Yaochuan and remarked that Sagrism is tougher than they anticipated, so he should give her control. But Jia Yaochuan retorted that he doesn't want a single word from her. Jia Yaochuan used his Dreamweaver skill and wrapped it around Sagrism's arm. Sagrism teased Jia Yaochuan if he intended to keep his distance and play it safe, while Chelsea warned that Jia Yaochuan shouldn't underestimate Sagrism. Sagrism used his skill, Body Enhancement, and challenged Jia Yaochuan if Psychic Aspers don't ever get tired of treating everyone else like idiots. He threatened that Jia Yaochuan had nowhere to run and suggested that he start begging for mercy. Jia Yaochuan doubted Sagrism and taunted him. He probed Sagrism, who has nowhere to run at the moment. Jia Yaochuan declared that he won, and Sagrism repeatedly cursed that Jia Yaochuan was an asshole. Suddenly, Chelsea called Jia Yaochuan and observed that something is wrong with Sagrism, and Jia Yaochuan revealed that Dreamweaver could already peek into Sagrism's memories. Sagrism shouted that he will freaking kill Jia Yaochuan and screamed. He reflected that a true warrior never backs down. But he recalled the time when he was running and screaming away from an attack. Sagrism cried out that he didn't want to die. Back in the present, Lu Yao queried Han Yu how Jia Yaochuan and Sagrism were doing in the training room, and Han Yu informed that it was already over. Lu Yao wondered if Sagrism won and if he used his demon contract powers, but Han Yu denied. He clarified that Sagrism lost. Lu Yao was astonished when she saw what the situation in the training room was. Bella urged Sagrism to snap out of it because it was just training. Lu Yao warned that it was not good because if that keeps up, Sagrism's mind will shatter. But Han Yu disagreed and stated that if Sagrism doesn't confront the shadows of his past, he will never become stronger. Han Yu added that besides, Jia Yaochuan's talent and abilities haven't fully manifested yet, so they should watch a bit more because finding Jia Yaochuan was like finding a treasure. Meanwhile, Jia Yaochuan was apprehensive as he observed Sagrism. He concluded that it was Sagrism's memories. Jia Yaochuan saw how the young Sagrism fell to the ground and expressed his pain. Sagrism was at the Bone Tribe, a warrior's clan, and as one of the men scolded Sagrism if he was calling what he did training. He warned that Sagrism won't become a great warrior at that rate. The man mentioned that their auntie will make something delicious that night, so Sagrism should come over after training and eat with them. Sagrism agreed, all right, and thanked the man. He remembered that the Bone Tribe were blessed warriors by birth. It was where the strong rule, death is no different than life, but family comes first above all else. A bond forged in blood and loyalty until death, and those are the principles that have sustained Bone Village for generations. But disaster struck swiftly. An amused demon mocked if they were the oh-so-legendary warrior clan, while the men urged that they should charge and that there is no shame in death because warriors never yield. The demon taunted that it was going to be fun and that they were a bunch of ants. Sagrism was horrified as the lifeless bodies of the warriors surrounded him. He called for his mom, who was also lifeless on the ground. Sagrism whimpered that he must run away because he doesn't want to die by a demon's hand. But Sagrism's brother suddenly charged towards the demon and vowed that he would kill it. Sagrism protested no, but his brother cursed that the demon was a bastard who killed their mother. Sagrism's brother swore that he would kill the demon and screamed. But in an instant, the battle cry of Sagrism's brother was silenced. Sagrism was horrified when he saw blood splattering towards him. The demon groaned in disgust. He demanded where those ants keep coming from again and again. Sagrism was terrified when he saw his lifeless brother. Tears welled up in his eyes, and he couldn't look away. Back in the present, Sagrism screamed, and he cursed and vowed that he would kill Jia Yaochuan. Sagrism screamed as she charged at Jia Yaochuan and vowed that he will freaking kill him. Jia Yaochuan managed to block Sagrism's attack, but it was so powerful that it made Jia Yaochuan flinch. Chelsea called Bella and warned that Sagrism has lost it, so she should do something. But Bella retorted that like hell she would. Bella remarked that it was Chelsea's contractor who messed with Sagrism's memories, so it was her fault, and the two of them couldn't even forge a proper contract bond, so she challenged Chelsea who she was to judge. Chelsea was pissed by what Bella mentioned, but she couldn't reply anything in return. Back at the fight, Sagrism managed to push Jia Yaochuan back. Sagrism screamed with rage as he charged towards Jia Yaochuan. He remembered the past, where Bella observed that she could see the guilt, the rage, festering within him, and she proposed if he desired a contract. Sagrism recalled when Lu Yao questioned him if he made a contract with a demon and how long he had wandered those lands. Lu Yao explained that Sagrism was the last survivor of the Bone Tribe. She mentioned that she had a proposition and invited Sagrism if he would join them. Sagrism recalled when Lu Yao introduced Gyuzura and explained that Gyuzura was rescued during the operations, but his former captors took his eyes, so she needed someone to watch over him just for a while. Sagrism introduced himself to Gyuzura. He promised that from that day forward, he would protect Gyuzura. Sagrism concluded that it was right and that he would become strong enough, and he asserted that it was so no one could ever take what was precious to him ever again. He declared that his name is Sagrism and resolved that it didn't matter even if he had to become a demon himself. Sagrism determined that he wouldn't back down ever again and challenged Jia Yaochuan that he should come on and they should finish things. Jia Yaochuan advised that Sagrism should calm himself and observe that he is a battle-crazed maniac. But Sagrism was unfazed by Jia Yaochuan's attack, and he immediately threw a counterattack. Jia Yaochuan screamed in pain as he got hit by Sagrism's sword. But he quickly called Chelsea and urged that it was their chance. Sagrism was alarmed when Jia Yaochuan's chains managed to wrap around him and restrict him. Higher demons could exert their will over lower demons, rendering them immobile, and they could also temporarily wield a portion of their subjugated prey's power. Bella warned that Sagrism should watch out. Han Yu quickly intervened and announced that it was enough. He concluded that the match was over and the victor was Jia Yaochuan. Chelsea clicked her tongue and grumbled that there was still no sign of a contract bond, so all her efforts were wasted. Jia Yaochuan glanced over Sagrism. He inquired Sagrism if he was already satisfied. But Bella snapped that he was an ill-mannered wretch and that the training was already over. But Sagrism insisted that Bella should go back because he lost. He declared that his opinion of Jia Yaochuan hasn't changed and he is still someone he dislikes. He admitted that he was even more upset since he lost, but his target isn't Jia Yaochuan. Sagrism confessed that he ran from his tribe out of fear, and currently he is filled with nothing but regret and guilt, and he will carry that sin with him for the rest of his life. But he swore that the demon who took his loved ones from him, he would swear that he would make him pay. Jia Yaochuan assured that he and Sagrism will find the demon together then. He encouraged Sagrism should defeat the demon and prove to himself that he isn't weak because the spirit of the Bone Tribe runs in his blood. Sagrism smiled as Jia Yaochuan extended his hand to him. He grabbed Jia Yaochuan's hand and agreed that he was right. On the other hand, a castle was being attacked. One of the guards relayed to their headquarters and informed that they had spotted a predator and a demon, so they were requesting backup. He screamed in pain when Mordak stepped on his hand. Mordak interrogated the man if he was the leader. He sneered that the man should let him get a good look at him and that he should consider it an honor to have his face be the last thing he sees. But the man refused no. The man tried to plead for help, but his cries died down. Mordak declared that it was time he and Chelsea settled the score. Jia Yaochuan looked so tired, and he had dark bags under his eyes. He mentioned that Chelsea shifted back in her sleep again. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan sensed that there was a demonic aura. He quickly used his skill, Dreamweaver. Xia Na screamed and shouted that something got her shadow, and Gyuzura mocked that she was busted and is an idiot. Jia Yaochuan inquired Xia Na and Gyuzura what the two of them were doing lurking around out there. Xia Na and Gyuzura suddenly fired their confetti and exclaimed, "Surprise!" Jia Yaochuan wondered what all that was for. Xia Na explained that since the crisis in Dorn City was successfully averted, Lu Yao decided to throw a celebration banquet, while Gyuzura insisted that Jia Yaochuan should come on because they were waiting for him and Sagrism was going to scarf down all the good stuff if they were late. Chelsea suddenly questioned what the good stuff was and if they got that awesome canned meat, which puzzled Xia Na. A few moments later, they arrived at the banquet hall. Gyuzura queried his demon if it wasn't tired of eating predator meat all the time and suggested that it should have some human food for a change. While Lu Yao remarked that she hadn't had such a good drink in ages, Xia Na checked with one of the employees if he had seen Lu Yao, and the man replied no. On the other hand, Sagrism called Jia Yaochuan. Sagrism praised that Jia Yaochuan really knew how to hold his liquor, and Ba Yin questioned Sagrism if he wasn't drunk. Ignoring Bayan, Sagrism confessed that Jia Yaochuan should know that he used to assume that he was a real phony, but currently he sees that he is a true warrior, and he genuinely thanks him for dragging him out of that memory. Bayan commented that someone has got a case of the wobbly pops. Jia Yaochuan queried Bayan if he doesn't drink, and Bayan replied that he is more of a milk person himself. Jia Yaochuan suddenly insisted that the milk alone won't do. Sagrism cursed and declared that Jia Yaochuan was a real man, while Bayan warned that Jia Yaochuan shouldn't pour his milk in there. Jia Yaochuan assured that Bayan should trust him because a little milk makes the booze go down smoother, but Bayan reiterated that he told Jia Yaochuan that he doesn't drink and that Jia Yaochuan was drunk too. Meanwhile, Bella remarked that Sagrism is totally drunk so she needs to take care of him, and Chelsea questioned her what she would do about the grill because she doesn't know how to cook that stuff. Lu Yao chimed in and reassured that Chelsea shouldn't worry because she got it. She boasted that she is a pretty good cook, while Zia now warned that she shouldn't drink anymore. But Lu Yao countered that she would just add a little sprinkle of salt while pouring alcohol, which made Chelsea scream, and she cried that her meat was all burnt. Chelsea pleaded that Lu Yao should stop pouring alcohol because her meat got all burnt up, and as Lu Yao wondered if it wasn't salt, Chelsea demanded that she should stop pouring it. A few moments later, the night got deeper and the balcony became quiet. Chelsea let out a sigh of relief and muttered that she barely managed to salvage some of the meat. She suddenly screamed and demanded Jia Yaochuan what he was doing there and if he was dead, to which Jia Yaochuan responded and assured that he was not dead. Chelsea teased that she didn't know that Jia Yaochuan was the type to pass out from a little fun. Jia Yaochuan explained that he just hasn't drunk much in a while. Chelsea warned that Jia Yaochuan better hope that it was all that it was, and making a contract with a fragile human like him better not be a mistake. She wondered when the whole contract bond thing would form. Jia Yaochuan revealed that on that day, when they were caught in Han Yu's demonic energy, he heard voices. He admitted that he couldn't remember what they exactly expressed because everything was chaos and all he could focus on was purging his mind of those invasive ideas. Chelsea teased Jia Yaochuan if that was his drunken way of apologizing to her for that day, but Jia Yaochuan denied that it was not really and that he was just pondering. Jia Yaochuan wondered to Chelsea if the first requirement for establishing a contract bond could really exist between them. Chelsea was taken aback by Jia Yaochuan's inquiry. She was about to reprimand Jia Yaochuan, but she was cut off. Zia Na screamed as she called Lu Yao. Jia Yaochuan investigated Zia Na what was wrong, and Zia Na complained that she kept telling Lu Yao that there would be no more drinking. Lu Yao demanded how they could not eat the meat she specially grilled and declared that wasting food is a crime in her book, so they were going straight to jail. Suddenly, a man barged into the banquet hall and announced that there was bad news and it was an emergency. He revealed that someone attacked the Heaven's Wrath base. At the Heaven's Wrath base, Osha was sobbing. Osha, ranked 36 on the Cowardly Demon Index, timidly verified with Mordak if he was really the captain, to which Mordak confirmed yes, and as he introduced himself, he mentioned that he needs Osha's help. Osha nervously wondered if Mordak knew her name and what he expected her to do when she was very timid, and Mordak reassured that Osha shouldn't worry about a thing. Mordak promised that when Osha overcomes her cowardice, humans will be even more timid than her, so she should come with him, and they should leave that place together. Lu Yao inquired of her men if there were any leads on who broke in. One of the men responded that they were still investigating but there is no sign of hacking. He explained that the main gate was opened in safe mode, to which Jia Yaochuan observed that the gate was undamaged and wondered aloud what it was if it wasn't an intrusion. The man revealed that he found it and it was the Heaven's Wrath squad a captain. Sagrism speculated if it was a traitor, while Bayan countered that every Heaven's Wrath member undergoes rigorous vetting and pondered if the captain could be a demon contractor working from the inside all along. Sagrism declared that he doesn't care who the captain is because he is going to rip that bastard from limb to limb, but Gyuzura advised that Sagrism should hold on. Meanwhile, Jia Yaochuan was deep in his contemplation, analyzing the situation. He queried what would happen if the captain was the demon. A few moments later, the demon squad arrived at the Heaven's Wrath-based demon incubation chambers. Zia Na explained that the incubation chambers are made from refined source stone, reinforced with containment seals personally inscribed by the president, and she wondered how they could be broken so easily. On the other hand, Chelsea mentioned that she could sense it, a familiar, dangerous aura, and they may be dealing with something far worse than any demon they have encountered before. Suddenly, Sagrism cursed, which worried Gyuzura, and Lu Yao pointed out that over there was the place where the sealed ranked demons are kept. The demon squad entered the room. Zia Na and Bayan were horrified with what they saw. Bayan wondered how that could happen when those men are all high-ranking Aspers. Zia Na remarked that it was monstrous and they can't let whoever did that get away. Gyuzura suddenly exclaimed that they should look because Sagrism was over there. Sagrism cursed as he hung by the ceiling with the other bodies. He urged Bella to hurry up and get out of his body because her power was weakening, but Bella replied that she couldn't. Gyuzura encouraged Sagrism to hang on because he was coming, and Jia Yaochuan advised Gyuzura to wait and not release his demon yet. But Jia Yaochuan's warning was too late, and the substance that restrained Sagrism quickly charged towards Gyuzura. Gyuzura screamed, wondering what it was. Lu Yao wondered if the enemies got Gyuzura's demon too and what was going on, and Jia Yaochuan instructed her to stay back. Jia Yaochuan explained that it appears that the intruder left traps, potent ones, designed to subdue demons, and there is still some residual mental energy, so they might find something useful. Suddenly, Chelsea called Jia Yaochuan and mentioned that something was not right about the skull. Jia Yaochuan acknowledged that he could feel it too. He used his Dreamweaver skill to break the skull. Yuzuru was surprised when the substance that restrained him broke as well. Xiana quickly ran and called Sagrism when he fell. Suddenly, the skull spoke, expressing that it was nice to meet Jia Yaochuan. The skull greeted everyone and explained that it was a message imbued with the elegance of combat. He stated that his master will launch a full-scale assault on Santenberg's main city at dawn the next day, and every last soul within its walls will be purged. Xiana, Baiyan, and Sagrism were surprised when they heard what the skull declared. Meanwhile, Lu Yao sought confirmation if it was an assault on the city. The skull continued, stating that of course, his master also mentioned that if Chelsea could come to Lost Paradise, the assault would be postponed, and he questioned them if he was right that it was not a bad option. Realizing that it was after Chelsea, Jia Yaochuan queried her if it was an old friend, and Chelsea replied that she was not sure but she did feel a strange familiarity with his attacks, and if she was not mistaken, their Heaven's Wrath squad would be no match for him. Jia Yaochuan reflected that Chelsea being serious and cautious is rare. The skull started repeating its greeting and message, so Lu Yao called Xiana and instructed that she should shut it off. Xiana hit the skull with her arrows. Lu Yao ordered that they should dispatch the order of citywide level 1 alert, and all units are to report any sightings of the cowardly demon or the suspected attacker immediately. She added that if necessary, she would authorize the use of Heaven's Wrath weaponry with no exceptions and lethal force is authorized. Yuzuru wondered aloud if they were going to war, while Baiyan argued that they didn't even know what kind of demon they were dealing with and if the Heaven's Wrath protocol wasn't a bit extreme if it was just one person. Lu Yao clarified that the city's strongest Aspurs and demon contractors are in the Heaven's Wrath, but even Sagrism and Yuzuru barely survived those traps. Not to mention, the intruder took the cowardly demon, and they all know how dangerous that thing is in the wrong hands. Yuzuru mentioned that there was another option, and Jia Yaochuan queried what the other option was. Jia Yaochuan wondered if Yuzuru wanted Chelsea to go through with the rendezvous. Baiyan firmly opposed because it is exactly what the enemy wants and it is a trap, so things could get even worse, to which Sagrism agreed and added that Jia Yaochuan is one of them. But Yuzuru argued that attacking the city is clearly an attempt to force them to hand over Chelsea. Chelsea and Jia Yaochuan looked at each other as they tried to decide. Jia Yaochuan instructed that everyone should stop debating because if that was the case, they would do as the intruder wished. He declared that he and Chelsea had decided to go to the meeting point. Everyone from the demon squad was surprised when they heard what Jia Yaochuan stated. Lu Yao advised that Jia Yaochuan shouldn't be reckless and he should consider it thoroughly, but Jia Yaochuan insisted that he was calm. He explained that it was something he and Chelsea needed to face and they all were just dragged into it. Sagrism declared that like hell he was letting Jia Yaochuan go alone. Suddenly, Lu Yao's earpiece made a sound. Lu Bingshan inquired of Lu Yao where Jia Yaochuan was, and as soon as Lu Yao recognized Lu Bingshan, she informed that Jia Yaochuan just left. Lu Bingshan instructed Lu Yao to bring Jia Yaochuan to him immediately because he was the one they were looking for. A few moments later, Lu Yao went to the Santenberg Alliance president's office. Lu Bingshan remarked that the others may not know any better, but he wondered how Lu Yao could let Jia Yaochuan walk into the trap alone. Lu Yao admitted that it was her fault, but she considered what is more important is the intruder at that time, and Lu Bingshan replied that he had been briefed. Lu Bingshan explained that Heaven's Wrath base was heavily attacked for the first time, so it was natural to be apprehensive, but the Heaven's Wrath weaponry must be used cautiously. He emphasized that its destructive power is immense and since the Red Rain calamity, technological advancements have halted so they can't produce any more of it. Lu Bingshan stressed that the weaponry should only be used as a last resort, and he summoned Lu Yao there for something even more important. He disclosed that it was the latest research progress from the doctor. Lu Bingshan revealed that it was a comparison of Jia Yaochuan's DNA with that of the first predators, and Jia Yaochuan is genetically closer to a predator than to humans. Lu Yao mentioned that the first predators appeared over 2 decades ago and Jia Yaochuan was just a baby back then, so she wondered if Lu Bingshan was sure that there was not a mistake. Lu Bingshan responded that Lu Yao can doubt the doctor all she wants, but his research is irrefutable, so he hopes Jia Yaochuan could bring hope to their world. Suddenly, Lu Yao interrupted and wondered what would happen if the intruder was after Jia Yaochuan. Lu Bingshan dismissed that it was impossible because that research has been kept under the tightest security, but he wondered if he was right that Lu Yao had always had her suspicions about Jia Yaochuan's contract demon's origins. He instructed Lu Yao to take the space-time demonic hammer and use it if Chelsea posed a threat to Jia Yaochuan. Recognizing what it was, Lu Yao wondered if the space-time demonic hammer had been successfully tested already. Lu Bingshan confirmed that it has been modified by the research department and it was infused with the abilities of numerous B-rank and high Aspurs so it can sever a demonic contract. Lu Yao remarked that with that, even if Jia Yaochuan hasn't fully mastered his bond contract, they don't have to fear Chelsea losing control, but Lu Bingshan clarified that unfortunately, it could only be used once. Lu Yao acknowledged that she understood and that she would handle it carefully, to which Lu Bingshan responded by reassuring her that he trusted her but she should ensure her own safety first. Lu Bingshan added that the dying wish of Lu Yao's mother is indeed important, but Liu Yao is his daughter, so she is more important. On the other hand, Jia Yaochuan arrived at the Wastelands, Forbidden Zone 31. Chelsea wondered if it was Jia Yaochuan's brilliant plan to exhaust his mental energy quickly so she could have a one-on-one with Mordak, and Jia Yaochuan replied that it was better than them blindly walking into Mordak's trap, so they should just wait for Mordak to come out because that way, their chances of winning will be higher. Chelsea questioned how Jia Yaochuan could be so sure that Mordak would come out and when exactly it would be, and Jia Yaochuan reminded Chelsea if she remembered that Mordak challenged them. He reasoned that as long as they stayed out there, Mordak would definitely come out before dawn to slaughter the city because, after all, he arrogantly issued the challenge. Chelsea considered that Jia Yaochuan's mental energy is remarkable and he might even surpass her someday, but she sensed why she had that feeling like something was wrong, like she was missing something important. Jia Yaochuan reassured Chelsea shouldn't worry and that he won't do anything reckless because he still needs to help her regain her memories and power. Suddenly, Jia Yaochuan felt a pang of pain. Chelsea wondered what was wrong, and Jia Yaochuan warned that she should be careful of her surroundings. Jia Yaochuan announced that his mental energy is under attack. Suddenly, an undead appeared behind Chelsea. Chelsea quickly used her chains to attack the undead. Her attack created an explosion, but the undead was still standing. Chelsea was uncertain what was happening, and as she reflected that those insects would normally be vaporized under her attacks, she wondered if she had gotten weaker. But Chelsea realized that it was not it. She sensed that she was starting to be scared. Meanwhile, Mordak and Osha were inside the palace. Osha wondered if it was really okay to kill Jia Yaochuan and Chelsea. She explained that her mom advised not to kill and that killing would get her beaten and scolded. But Mordak assured that it was okay and that she shouldn't suppress her nature because humans have a nature of killing too, so she was just a slightly unusual human. Osha was moved by what Mordak expressed. She affirmed that she understood, so she will be a good human to repay Mordak, and Mordak praised that Osha is really doing very well at the moment. Mordak remarked that Osha has such a killing nature and powerful abilities. He added that Osha could help him defeat Chelsea's thing, which is perfect.
Chelsea griped that the undead were maddening, like being chased around by a cloud of filthy flies. That choking wave of fear kept gnawing at her insides until her stomach churned. She swung her chains with brutal force and lashed into the mass of bodies. Ji Yuchuan noticed her strength slipping, and that dread she kept mentioning made him wonder if it was the cowardly demon's handiwork, though to him it felt like he couldn't sense it at all, almost like he alone stood immune. He called to her and remarked that every strike against those creatures drained her more, and she shot back that she figured he was under some influence himself. The ground suddenly trembled beneath them. A jagged path cracked open, leading directly to the palace. Mordak turned his gaze to Chelsea. He remarked it had been far too long since he last laid eyes on her, and sneered that she had grown soft, then spat venom at the fact she had shackled herself with a contract to some pitiful human. Chelsea and Ji Yuchuan flung themselves aside, dodging Mordak's vicious strike in the nick of time. Ji Yuchuan checked if she was injured, and with biting sarcasm, she fired back that she was fine. She declared she'd be counting on him from now, and he answered with a blunt agreement. Mordak scoffed and demanded if they truly believed they could hide from him. A horde of fresh undead stumbled forward toward Ji Yuchuan. He seized her chains and whipped them mercilessly against the advancing corpses. Then he gripped her scythe and carved down the stragglers in a clean finish. He barked back at Mordak about hiding and admitted that in that moment, he was practically shaking with excitement. Mordak's eyes widened in surprise. Ji Yuchuan declared that killing him would bring him one step closer to uncovering the truth. He sliced Mordak into pieces in one ruthless stroke, but instead of crashing down, the shredded fragments hovered in the air. Chelsea shouted at Ji Yuchuan to watch out. He instantly conjured his Dreamweaver and blocked the barrage of razor-sharp skeletal shards. Shock hit him when he felt his movements drag, his speed crumbling away. Mordak clicked his tongue in disdain and mocked the dull display, taunting if this was the limit of Chelsea's so-called familiar, all while activating Judgment, his twisted gift that warped the very threads of space-time around enemies, while sparing himself. He jeered that Chelsea should crawl out and face him properly so he could grind her down in truth. He slammed his massive skull into the ground where Ji Yuchuan stood seconds earlier. Mordak revealed himself fully. He muttered that Osha had played her role well. Victory lingered on his tongue like a flavor he savored. He promised Chelsea she'd love the surprise waiting for her. Moments later, Liu Yao and the demon squad stormed onto the scene, their faces stunned at the chaos. They pressed if Ji Yuchuan and his demon alone had unleashed all this destruction. Guzera speculated whether Ji Yuchuan was already gone, but Sigrism countered sharply that a man who once defeated him wouldn't collapse so easily. Liu Yao insisted there was no time for hesitation, ordering them to fan out and begin the search. She directed Ba Yin and Xiana to stick with her. while Guzera and Segrism would infiltrate the castle's opposite side, their mission fixed on finding Ji Yuchuan and urge them to move. Elsewhere, a single droplet broke the surface of the water and spread a ripple outward. Chelsea muttered if that freak had dragged them into another dimension, and Ji Yuchuan answered that he suspected so, since he couldn't sense any other living thing except them. Mordak suddenly interjected, chiding that such words wounded him. He revealed he had been watching them all along, pointing out with cruel relish how Chelsea's power waned and even her reflexes dulled. Pathetic, he called it. He then unfurled his complete form and demanded if she truly failed to recognize him. Mordak hurled sinister spirits straight at them, the air practically rattling with dark energy. Ji Yuchuan flared up his Dreamweaver skill in time to block the vicious strike. He remarked with calm sharpness that Chelsea was far too weak right now, so she had better step aside and let him handle this madness. Mordak sneered and pressed if a mere human really dared to challenge him. Chelsea suddenly froze, recognition hitting her, and she declared with a tremor that it was him, the victory demon, Mordak. He chuckled low and cruel, pointing out that she finally remembered him at last. He unleashed another barrage of assaults, and Ji Yuchuan still held his ground with Dreamweaver shimmering against the blows. Chelsea checked on him anxiously, and he brushed it off by insisting that he was fine. Mordak scoffed and mocked them, demanding what the problem was, wondering if darting around like frightened animals was all the two of them were capable of. She should look at herself and that so-called precious familiar of hers, because they were just scurrying like insects. Ji Yuchuan darted around, continuing to shield them from Mordak's relentless attacks. Mordak taunted him, asking where exactly he thought he was running off to. He thrust his spear forward in a deadly plunge, but Ji Yuchuan blocked the strike yet again. Ji Yuchuan turned toward Chelsea, voicing that now was the time. Mordak sneered, demanding if she really believed she could stop him with just that feeble attempt. Ji Yuchuan noticed the shifting numbers glowing on his weapon, and he puzzled if those changes tied directly to the damage somehow. Chelsea pressed him, demanding how they were still taking damage, and he admitted with sharp frustration that he didn't know because he had clearly blocked the attack. Mordak jeered that he had warned them from the start that this battle was always destined to end in their defeat. Chelsea, once the #1 demon, should at least not lose in such pitiful disgrace. She spat back that he was a bastard. Former rank or not, she still had enough left to beat him down. He let out a cruel laugh and mocked her, asking how long it would take before she shattered completely. She flinched and muttered if she had taken another hit. She quickly concluded there was something off with that space because their strikes were bouncing right back at them, and Ji Yuchuan confirmed with grit that he noticed too. The entire space inverted their attacks, twisting them into mirror images, and his weapon, those numbers climbing higher, made him stronger, with every blow already spreading wider. They had to stop targeting him directly and figure out what trickery was at work in that space. Mordak smirked in amusement, admitting it looked like they had uncovered his little secret. Ji Yuchuan suddenly got pierced from behind. Chelsea went rigid, stunned in horror at the sight. Her face drained pale and terror clawed at her. She rushed toward him frantically, shouting his name. She roared at him not to dare die on her, because she would never accept having a corpse for a familiar. Then, in a shock that made her stagger, she felt her power surge violently through her body. She gasped in disbelief, rattled by the sudden awakening. Meanwhile, Mordak gloated that they could keep struggling all they liked, because one more strike would finish everything. But his face snapped with shock when Chelsea's attack slammed him back. He instantly recognized the aura and muttered with unease, wondering if she had regained her power. She climbed onto a rock, looming over him with sharp authority. She lashed out her chains and they tore his spear apart in brutal fashion. He reeled, convinced it lasted only for that single moment. She glared and declared that he was nothing but a replica. She demanded to know how he dared treat her with such contempt. She then turned on Ji Yuchuan, questioning why his blood pulsed with such raw resonance. Meanwhile, Xiana drew back her bow and blasted a skeleton apart with her dark arrow. Lu Yao pointed out that it was the last of them and muttered that at least they had delayed things long enough, while Bai Yin frowned and admitted something felt wrong because he still couldn't contact Sagrism or Guzera. He cursed furiously when the ceiling blew apart above them. A massive hole ripped open to the sky, rubble thundering down to the ground. Xiana tensed and demanded if another enemy was about to appear. Out of nowhere, Sagrism's scream pierced the chaos. He cried out in a shaken voice, asking what they should do before blurting that he had killed Guzera. Sagrism insisted that he killed Guzera, but the claim rang false. He had struck down the slaughter demon, plain and brutal. Lu Yao pressed him for clarity on what exactly went down and how the slaughter demon appeared, but he muttered that he couldn't be certain who he actually cut down. Lu Yao and Ba Yin exchanged a wary glance. Ba Yin urged him to steady himself, breathe deep, and drag back the details because there could be some trick at work. Sigrism's skin turned ghostly pale, sweat dripping heavily as the memory clawed back. He explained that when he and Guzera arrived, the place was empty, only a foul sweet stench hanging thick in the air. He froze mid-step, caught off guard. He swore he laid eyes on the slaughter demon. After his last clash with Ji Yuchuan, he believed his powers had settled, but something inside gnawed at him, pushing him to retreat instead. In the chaos, he struck. When silence fell, horror carved into him. His blade sat buried in Guzera's chest. Ba Yin pointed out that his account screamed illusion since they had already scoured the castle without finding anything resembling his tale, while Lu Yao reminded him that the cowardly demon had been present as well. Sigrism pressed if she meant Guzera might still be alive, and she told him the signal was lost but not fully gone. She ordered Jiana to search for Guzera with Ba Yin at her side while she pushed on with the hunt for Ji Yuchuan. Meanwhile, Ji Yuchuan stirred in a vast palace chamber. He blinked awake, wondering if his wound had closed. Chains rattled as Chelsea unleashed them. He cried out as she pinned him down with her restraints. He demanded to know her intent. She mocked him for daring to question the Empress, calling it bold, and demanded his answers. She pressed him on why his blood boosted demonic strength and who he truly was. He retorted that she had been by his side all along, so she should know he was just as lost as she was. She hissed that there was no more need to defeat other ranked demons. Draining him might restore her full power, her memories, everything. He rejected the notion, insisting she wouldn't do it. She challenged whether he trusted her that much, and he shot back that his trust lay not in rank 1 Chelsea, but in the Chelsea who forged their contract, his comrade. She reeled back in shock as her chain snapped apart. She demanded to know why her power kept slipping away. He pointed out that his blood's boost was only temporary, but honestly, he liked her that way because she looked far better without the excess. She groaned in frustration and pressed him to hand over more of his blood. Suddenly, the back of his hand flared. He wondered aloud if it was their bond of contract sparking. He admitted they still hadn't uncovered Mordak's real form, but at least their contract had taken hold. She reminded him that dawn approached, and he realized they'd been played, urging they figure a way out. Elsewhere, Mordak, lurking in the captain's body, shuddered in pain. Osha fretted, but he waved her off, telling her not to worry. He knew it wasn't a delusion. Chelsea had briefly regained full strength, and he cursed under his breath, doubting if Evil Eye had lied to him. Meanwhile, Lu Yao and Ba Yin pushed deeper into the palace. He raised his shield to block the slimy liquid hurled their way. She whipped out a grenade. She lobbed it forward. The blast tore through the space. A figure took shape in the smoke. She called out to Ba Yin, warning him to brace for the fight. Ji Yuchuan swung his scythe through the choking smoke. Ba Yin warned Lu Yao to look out. Ji Yuchuan's attack shattered, along with Ba Yin's barrier when they collided. Lu Yao coughed while dust sprayed around them. Ba Yin registered it as incredible power, half suspecting it might be one of the demons who attacked Guzera and the others, then figured instead that it felt like a psychic-type force. Lu Yao urged him to wait because she believed she had sensed Ji Yuchuan's energy. Ji Yuchuan recognized them too, but then he noticed a new barrier before him. He scoffed that this felt a little too enthusiastic a welcome. He admitted he had not expected Ba Yin to hide such strength, and since mastering the bond of contract, he felt his powers surge. Ba Yin observed that it looked like he had not only mastered the bond of contract, but had also handled the demon there, and he suspected demonic power lived inside him, just as that person had claimed. Ji Yuchuan explained the one he and Chelsea beat was only one of Mordak's clones, and that Mordak's true form should not be present. Lu Yao questioned whether it was Mordak, the 9th-ranked demon, and whether that 9th-ranked demon had appeared there. Ji Yuchuan noted a victory demon like that must have some other purpose. Lu Yao judged it a battle plan and a clone. She cursed, insisting Santenberg must be in danger. She then demanded to know what was happening and reported she can't access her Esper abilities. Ji Yuchuan pointed out the problem seemed to originate from that wall. It looked like they might be inside its stomach. On the other hand, Guzera was running away. Mordak's familiar Lost chased after him. Guzera griped that perhaps it spat him out because he tasted bad and called that rude. He then questioned if the castle was him, transformed, and warned his brother and the others could still be trapped inside its body. He tried to rip him apart with his skill, but he cursed mentally, noting his gluttony demon could not corrode him from out there, and he wished someone could attack it from the inside. Suddenly, Chelsea's chains burst out of Lost's body. Guzera looked puzzled. Lost's body shredded into pieces, and Segrism and Jiana emerged. Segrism greeted Guzera, noting he was alive, while Shana added he had done well. Segrism urged him to come to give his brother a hug, but Guzera refused, claiming he should not touch him because he stinks. Shana insisted that if not for him, she and Segrism would still be trapped in that cowardly demon's illusion. But Guzera questioned whether it was really him. He questioned if it had not been them who had attacked it from the inside. Lu Yao chimed in, confirming it had been Ji Yuchuan. The creature's insides were incredibly vulnerable, and once it sensed danger, it would expel anything it had consumed. So Ji Yuchuan waited for the perfect moment and stabbed through its gut from inside. Segrism declared it his rival, while Bella suggested he should let her clean him up a bit. Ji Yuchuan urged them to save reunions for later, since Mordak still waited, and Chelsea vowed she would tear him to shreds. Meanwhile, Osha checked with Mordak whether he was sure about it. He reassured her she should not worry because she was doing the right thing. He promised that the place would soon become a paradise for demons. At that moment, his messenger ought to have delivered his proposal. They should see whether they would sacrifice themselves or sacrifice the people. His pawns should go forth. On the other hand, one of the soldiers reported an emergency outside the city and urged they report it quickly. They nervously held their positions and trained their guns on the people. One of the people demanded they be let in. Another insisted they wanted to live inside too, and another declared they deserved freedom and equality.